From the high desert and the great American Southwest, I bid you all good evening or good morning, wherever you may be across this great land of ours. Great it is indeed, from the Hawaiian and Tahitian Islands out west eastward to the Caribbean and the U.S. Virgin Islands, Tally-ho and St. Thomas, south into South America, actually. Maybe all the way to the South Pole, for all I know, north, certainly to the North Pole, and worldwide on the Internet. Thank you very much. Broadcast.com, the great distributor of digital audio. And, of course, Intel Corporation for creating the Kodak that allows the G2 program. And won't let me pick my nose for 5 hours at a time. Meaning, if you go up to my website and you download the G2 program, it's free, by the way, free. And then you go back up to my website and you click on streaming video. There I will be doing the show. For all 5 hours, you can sit there and watch me talk. And occasionally we come up with something innovative to put on. One of these nights, I'm going to, when we've got a meteor storm going on, I'm going to take the streaming video and put it on my. I've got a camera with a night vision scope attached to it, and I'm going to light that one up on streaming video. But I want a night when we've got a little action out there. Speaking of action, we have had a stream of great big military, magungus, gigantic black helicopters coming over. Something's going on over at Area 51. I don't know what. But something's happening over there. I mean, the traffic has been really incredible. You know, you hear this big whop, 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 and these big double Vertol or Piasecki military helicopters, and then, of course, the singles come screaming right overhead over the valley here. There's something interesting going on over the hill. I wonder what they're doing. Let me see. World news. Republican HMO bill is passed by the Senate. Patients' protections. President says he'll veto the thing. And speaking of the president, he just got a pay raise. The House voted overwhelmingly today, this is something they can all get together on, to give members of Congress a $4,600 pay raise in January and double the president's salary to $400,000. $400,000. If they keep that up, that job will be eventually worth having. $400,000. And, of course, they, as I said, voted to raise their own pay. Last time this happened, everybody got really angry, but it doesn't seem like there's this upwelling of anger about the president's and the lawmakers' hike in salary because, you know, everybody's pretty much doing all right financially, and so I guess they don't care. China declared Thursday that it has now invented its own neutron bomb. Great. Making an unprecedented disclosure about its nuclear arsenal amid U.S. accusations of atomic spying. Yeah, I noted last night when somebody said they had the neutron bomb that I would look into the story, and sure enough they do. And I said probably they got the neutron bomb manual in full tact over there. China's known to have exploded a neutron bomb back in 1988, but in keeping with its normal secretive military traditions, apparently never announced its achievement. Now, if they had that in 1988, then they just might have what's now been called the mini neutron bomb. Nuclear weapons scientist Sam Cohen says it is very foolish to assume that any new nation that acquires nuclear capability would be content with developing warheads closely resembling the bomb dropped on Nagasaki, namely a massive warhead weighing thousands of pounds. Nevertheless, the U.S. government remains perversely committed to this fatal assumption. Cohen contends that enormous technological progress has occurred in the last 50 years since the atom bomb was dropped on Nagasaki, and that most of the information needed for making smaller, more powerful bombs is unclassified, easily accessible. Hell, you can probably go up onto the internet and go to one of the search engines and put in atomic bomb, and I imagine the instructions will come back to you. But I mean, they're talking about miniature neutron bombs. Now, neutron bomb is something that would go off, as I understand it, and it would kill people real quick, but it would leave buildings and assets in place. Now, that really is a dangerous bomb. I mean, the thing about nuclear warfare has always been, obviously, that it would lead to a planet-wide genocide. Mad. Mutual assured destruction, it was called. And now we're getting down to suitcase-sized neutron bombs. Imagine. Not a whisper. Not a bang. Just a city of people gone. Dead. Buildings, plates, untouched, food untouched. Everybody simply drops dead. A New Zealand listener writes that he's convinced there is some sort of conspiracy underway, because every time he says, it never fails, he says, that you and your guest are getting to a very important part of the conversation. We all anxiously await the message, and our transmission is jammed for several minutes and then returns to normal right after the question is answered. He also notes from New Zealand, this is Nancy. She notes, you might have heard about the meteorite that came down and exploded over New Zealand about a week ago. Well, there was a high-quality home video of it that was shown on TV2 a couple of nights ago. The video showed the object clearly coming into view, then exploding with a very loud concussion and leaving a large smoke cloud. Now, why haven't we seen that video? She didn't think it was a meteorite. They found nothing. No pieces, no parts, nothing. And here's a very interesting fact. Art, I don't know if you've covered this or not, but did you hear that almost the entire crop of chili peppers in New Mexico has failed? It was due, they say, to curly leaf virus, as well as excess heat and wind. Green chili peppers are one of the most important agricultural crops of New Mexico. And frankly, this sounds a little like something Gordon Michael Scallion or Major Dames talked about. And I've got to agree, all the peppers, the chili peppers, that's really weird. Oh, by the way, flashing across the net, I'm getting a lot of messages about Robert Wraith like this one. Now, I'm going to read it, and I have no idea whether it's true or not. You remember Robert Wraith, right? Dr. Reed? You remember Dr. Reed and the alien and the dog? Well, I must have 20 messages saying that Dr. Reed was shot and is recovering. It was unsure at first. And apparently he was shot. These people are telling me in the late spring now. If Robert Wraith and Dr. Reed would like to get hold of me, I don't have your number, you have mine, and or provide me with a phone number, I would be glad to get hold of you and see if we can schedule you again. If you have been shot, this certainly deserves a follow-up story. That was the alien in the freezer fellow, doctor, right? Hope it's not true, but after about 20 messages, why, I guess I've got to ask. Well, this is interesting. Y2K. Now, as you know, Y2K really hadn't been in the news. Why is that? Well, Art, because somebody doesn't want it there. But it did break into the news today, and it looks like many U.S. cities, they now say, including Los Angeles, Chicago, and Washington, are leaving themselves scant time indeed to complete preps for what might occur in the year 2000. Now, it's so serious that they're talking about, they say that these cities are not going to make it, and that what they should be working on now are contingency plans. Got kind of an ominous sound to it, doesn't it? Contingency plans. In other words, what do we do when all hell breaks loose, right? So that's been in the news in the last couple of days. Gary North will be on again shortly. Gary and I communicated about a couple of weeks ago now. And he said about the middle of the month, and of course it certainly is the middle of the month right now. So, Gary, fire me some email and let's get it on. I'd really like to know what you think at this point. But there seems to be a lot of worry out there. They just occasionally report on it as if to remind you or something. Well, all right. In a moment, we are going to do open lines for the balance of this hour, and then at the top of the hour, so that's mostly what I think it has to do with, but who knows? Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hi.
Hi, Art.
Yes, sir.
This is Mike from Southern California.
Yes, Mike.
And I have a question about one of your sponsors.
Okay.
Do you still have Arthritis Assist as one of your sponsors?
We have the company that sold Arthritis Assist, which is the same company that sells the prostate product and Kaito Slim and HGH.
Oh, it is
same company, yes. So if you take one of those numbers and you want to get Arthritis Assist, I believe you can do that.
Okay, great.
Even though it's not actively being advertised.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Good morning.
Yes, is this Art?
It is.
Yes, Art. Actually, I had a couple beefs with your guest tonight.
Okay.
He's
not here, but I'll try and be my guest and see if I can fight with you about it here.
Found his conversation quite intriguing, except where he started going off onto the biblical topics there.
But why? I mean, when you think about it, the Bible really does instruct through and through the dominance of man and the subservience of women, doesn't it?
Yes, but...
Yes, but what?
He had a couple quotes on there. First one that caught my attention was about the Ten Commandments.
Yes.
Took that out of context.
He did?
He called it one of the commandments. He said not to make any art. Well, that's not true. It was graven images.
Well, all right.
For the purposes of worship.
Images.
Well, the main purpose was he didn't want anybody to make any graven images for the purpose of worshiping.
Yes, I understand.
Other than him.
Yes.
And there's also a text in the Bible, I believe it's Proverbs 31:3.
Okay, I'd rather you not quote directly.
Okay, but just in case any listeners wanted to look it up for themselves.
They certainly can do that. Sounds like the crypt is opening and closing behind you. What is that?
Oh, that's just my door. I'm trying to...
Your door needs...
I got the radio on in the next room.
Oh, I see.
But it says, give not thy strength unto women.
Right,
and, his topic to where...
Well, I guess he's saying that you don't have to give anything, see, they're taking it.
Well, his idea that society's moving more towards the feminine side is... I really don't see that happening.
I sure do.
I see society moving to the passive side.
Well, that is the feminine side, sir. No, I'm sorry. I do see it. I see it clearly. Society is in the process of moving to the feminine. It's not necessarily a bad thing. He doesn't view it as a bad thing, and I don't either. I think he's absolutely right about that. Now, with regard to the Ten Commandments, that's a whole different subject, and I frequently wondered if they were actually written out in order of importance, as we would write lists. But what makes us think that we would, that God or a creator would issue a list in an order of importance, the same way we lay down a list when we do it, right? I've always wondered about that. West of the Rockies, you're on the air.
Yes, hello? Is this our Bill? Have I gotten through it last?
You have.
I'm going to set you straight tonight. I'm going to tell you what, that the downfall of our nation began when women were allowed to give them the right to vote, and that women are weak, and that they are made inferior to the man.
Wait a minute with the Lord, what the Lord said. You don't think women ought to have a right to vote?
They should have no rights to vote, because I'll tell you what, it was the woman that led us to the tree and said, here's the apple of my master, Satan. Satan is the master of the woman, because the woman was made weak, and the woman was made by God weaker than the man. And the woman's will is weak, and the woman should get behind the man and do as the man says. This is all because women have been given the voice and authority of the man. It's causing confusion in our society, and it's the downfall of everything we've held sacred for so many centuries.
You really believe that?
I believe this in the fullness of my heart. And it's like every time I try to call you, that woman gets on the line and says, you're not taking calls from me tonight. Says your party's not answering, and I know that you're there.
Well, I am here. That's true.
Yes,
no, of course I'm here.
You're putting her against me to keep me from getting on the air, Mr. Bell. And I know that the woman who was cursed by God to be
you listen to me. Number one, you're supposed to turn off your radio. Number two...
Well, let me go through that right now, then.
All right,
I'm not going to allow you to have any excuse to get rid of me.
Turn your radio off, damn it. I'll wait.
What? Hello?
Yes. Now, it's not the woman that's doing it. It's me. I'm doing it.
You are the devil.
Remember me, don't you?
Silence, devil. Let me make my point. You have kept me off the air. You want to allow me to make my calls. You want to allow my righteous viewpoint to come forth. And the new commandments have stated that woman must get back to her place. She belongs in the kitchen. She doesn't belong.
Pregnant.
What's that?
Pregnant.
The woman
barefoot.
should
barefoot,
keep her
right?
Quiet.
And barefoot, right?
Listen, the woman is evil. Evil's weak. It's all her fault that God is mad at us, and she needs to follow the divine plan, which is to stay behind the man and walk behind him and keep her head down and her mouth shut, and things will go much better. Mr. Bell.
Good Lord, man.
And your programs are you are out of control with all this nonsense about UFOs and the fact that
I'm out of control.
It's trying to interpret the Bible and tell us what the Bible should be. The Bible states explicitly that women must do as the man says. Obey thy man. That is one of the new commandments of the new revelation.
What about the wheel within the wheel in the Bible? What about the signs from the skies?
The wheel is the devil's. That's the devil's deception within the truth that the devil puts out. The devil will try to taint truth with the wheel within the wheel, which is satanic and misinformation.
The wheel is satanic?
Yes, the wheel is satanic because it is a circle of nothingness leading to nothing, and that is the devil leading to nothing. So we must reject the circular. We must stay with our linear and masculine dominance of culture and return to the way it was when women knew their place and everyone knew their places as long as America, when people are going crazy because no one knows what their proper places anymore.
And what kind of a country do you think we'd have if all the women were back home again?
I think, kitchens would be a lot cleaner, I'll tell you that much.
Hadn't thought about that. You don't really think that I'm the devil's toe jam, do you? Not really.
You are the devil's mouthpiece, and I've said it once, and I'll say it again for everyone to hear, that you are working for Satan. You are doing his bidding, and you are working overtime to bring down America. I know, because you've been cavorting with the Soviet Union to take away our freedom.
Wait a minute. The Soviet Union is no more. There is no more Soviet Union.
Read Irvine and Cliff Kincaid.
There is no more Soviet
Union. You should be more like Read Irvine and Cliff Kincaid of Media Monitor. Now, they should have a show. I don't know why your show is so many hours a night and they only get 2 minutes when they come on during the break, but you need to be more like them. The Russians are out there invading Kosovo, trying to blind our pilots with laser beams and using radio frequencies that you gave them against us.
That I gave them?
Sensitive radio production secrets that you're continuing to slip to the Soviet Union on how to mind control Americans.
My God,
your radio program.
Do you know that it must be a good year since you were on the air?
Oh, what? That's because you will keep me from the airwaves.
I did not.
You are conspiring to keep me off the air, but the Lord broke through tonight and said, JC must get on to right this wrong which has been perpetrated against him.
JC, to show you how full of it you are, I'm going to keep you on through the break, all right?
Through what break?
Through the break that's coming up right now.
All right, you can keep me on.
See? Don't you want to thank me for that?
I don't thank the devil for anything.
All right.
The Lord influencing you.
All right, JC, you hold it right there. We'll be right back. Ever want to see in the dark? But JC is a very special person. We haven't heard from him in, it's been at least a year, maybe more. Here's JC if he waited.
Yes, I'm still here. I am not going to give up.
All right.
Defeated by you. And first of all,
JC, I want you to do something for me. Look down at your hand right now.
What about my hand?
Can you see your hand?
Yes, I see my hand.
Yeah. Can you see your knuckles?
My knuckles are... Yes, I see them.
Are they bleeding?
What do you mean, are they bleeding?
Are they bleeding?
They have in the past because I've had to smash my phone and my radio because of what you said. You owe me money for that, too, by the way.
Yeah, I bet I do.
I'm keeping a tally.
Send me a bill.
And I want to get one of those night visions because you've been stalking me and creeping around in my bushes.
Stalking you?
Yes, harassing me, calling my phone at all hours of the morning.
That's an outright lie.
Well,
you know, I remember you said you thought I was calling you, didn't you?
Someone's been calling me.
Well, it hasn't been me. And I don't know, frankly, who would voluntarily call you at all.
Lots of people, because they're looking for guidance.
What
the Lord's
kind of...
directing them to me. and I want to say how glad I am to finally hear that the CIA is taking care of that commie, pinko, left-wing, liberal, homosexual platform, KPFA. I'm so glad that station is going to go off the air. I hate that station. I have been familiar with them for years, and I've heard the drivel coming out of that filth.
Well, you know, the way you characterize it, JC, don't you think that's a little extreme? Don't you think that there's a place in America for all kinds of views, radical views of everything you don't? You really don't. You are the most narrow, myopic-minded... You know, I hate to even say human being...
By the way.
What?
I was being nice to them. I was putting it in nice terms. You don't want to know how I really feel about them.
Oh, my God, no, I don't. Not on this program. Let me tell you something, JC. You are exactly the kind of person who would be taken down first, along with the radio station you referred to, and extreme views of all kinds. They'd take you out and they'd burn you at the stake, JC.
Oh, stake burning.
Stake burning, yeah.
No, listen to me. America was founded by people like me.
Was it now?
Yes, it was. Conservative Christians who wanted freedom. The freedom of religion means that
freedom for Christianity. Freedom for the right kind of people who had exactly the same kind of views that they had, right? But not freedom for anybody else, right?
For me. And people
for
like
you.
me.
Yeah, right. But people like you. I'm going to look, JC.
America, what?
To prove how full of it you are, I'm going to let my audience ask you some questions, as I did once before.
Well, do you think they could form a sentence that's coherent?
I don't know. We're going to find out. First-time caller line, you're on the air with JC.
Hi, Art. This is Mark from Spokane, Washington, listening to you on Super Talk 1510 KGA Country.
Yes.
I have kind of a comment about JC's view and women.
Yes.
First of all, the book which he claims to have read, I'll paraphrase, it says for us men to love our significant other, and I won't quote it because I know you don't like that on the air, but it does say that. And in my opinion, JC, I am a Christian, and
yes,
it does say that. We should, in other words, not treat them like an inferior species.
Well, listen. Have you ever heard of tough love? And the thing about it is that we should, by loving them, by taking command of their will, we are loving them because they are incapable. It is love that we have. They are incapable of making decisions that are right and moral and just because they are created as less than man. They are support staff for the man. God had a plan when he created woman. He said, Adam's down there, and he's not a very good cook, and he doesn't know. He's not cleaning up, and he's smelly. He's scaring away all the animals. We need
Adam's
to give him
not a good cook.
What?
Adam's not a good cook.
Listen, that's not the process of man to cook. He has to hunt the beast. And if he smells bad hunting the beast with the dirty loincloth or whatever, then he can't get his job done. And so the Lord said, I love him. We can't have two bosses, so let's create one to support Adam. But her will is going to be weaker because she is only a part of him. You see? And so it is our love, through our love, that we take command of the inferior will of the woman, which was led astray by Satan because her will was so weak, Satan was able to fool her.
That's not true. That is not true,
Yes, it is. It's her fault. It says there. Listen, are you calling God a liar? How dare you?
No, not by any means.
How dare you call God a liar? It's in the book. You ought to read the book.
I do.
No, you don't. You're lying. You're calling God a liar. Listen to you.
You know what I'm to say to you is that you're preaching condemnation when the...
I don't believe in condom use either. Handing out
condemnation.
The worst thing that ever come. That's giving the okay to fornicate at will.
You misheard me. I said you're preaching condemnation. I mean, meaning hate. You know, and...
You're preaching hate. He said you're preaching hate.
I have love. I am not preaching hate to anyone. Tough love is not hate, and the right thing is not hate. Listen, we have to do the right thing, and the Lord wants us.
Which means preach love.
You talk to the Lord directly. No, you don't. I have a hotline right to the Lord, and He says to me, He says, JC, the world is going astray. JC, you need to take tough love to America. You need to remind America of the heritage. And he said to me, you got to get through tonight. He said, you dial till your fingers bleed. And I did. And I dialed and I got through.
I knew they were bleeding. I knew it. I knew there was blood on his fingers. All right, caller, thank you for trying.
You're very open-minded for, something like that on your show. So you have a good night then, Art, and God bless. And I'll keep you and your family situation there in my deepest prayers.
Yes, please do. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, Wildcard Line, you're on the air with JC.
Yeah, I got a question for him.
All right, turn your radio off. That's important.
Hold on.
Right away. Everybody has to do that when they get on the air, so have it nearby so you can turn it. All right, JC's here. Go.
Okay, JC, if women's so inferior, this is the first question. Why would God bring his son through a woman? The next, wait till he's finished.
Wait till he's finished with the question, JC.
The next question is, in the lineage of Jesus Christ himself on the women's side, the women, like the walls of Jericho, that's in Jesus Christ's lineage. That woman there, and she was like ill repute, but you're judging women when God has put them on a pedestal. He doesn't run them down.
You're not making any sense.
He picked the woman. Why didn't he pick a man? He's powerful enough. He could have made a man give birth to the Savior. No, he picked a woman.
Well, look, it'd be mighty hard for a man to give birth.
Well, then why didn't he just materialize?
The caller has a point. The caller said, look, the Lord had a choice. He could have he could have fixed it up so men were able to bear children. He didn't. He picked a woman to have the Savior.
Listen. That is because
without women on this world, we are barbaric. I hate to say it. Anglo-Saxons are mean.
Yeah, you're white bashing, huh?
No, I'm not. I'm just telling you how we've done it through history. If you don't like history and you're stuck, then that's your problem. You're the one preaching hate. You're the one that wants to destroy what God has created. God created marriage.
Yes, He did.
And
between a man and a woman.
You got to read the New Testament. It talks about being equal, sharing burden together. Man, you just lost it. You're blinded by your own righteousness. You're a self-righteous person.
You're not making
and you're the worst kind. You're the ones that hurt true Christianity, JC. You're the one that's one of the reasons why this world is getting the way it is.
You know what, JC? A lot of people have said that, not just that man, that you are destroying Christianity.
Truth hurts. Truth hurts, and these people who've been led astray, these are people who probably, they read the horoscope in the morning in the paper and go, oh, well, maybe I better not go to church today because the horoscope says not to. These are people who have taken so much of the worldliness and they mistake the real thing as being hate. So.
All right, so really, did you hear my guest, JC?
Who? The one you had on tonight?
Dr. Schleen, yeah.
He was... Yes, I heard him. This is why I'm so angry, because who is he? He acts like he's, I am outraged at what he has to say.
Even you, JC, you're becoming more feminine by the day.
I am not. I'm all man.
Sure you are.
God made me man.
All right. Well, east of the Rockies, you're on the air with JC. Hello.
Yeah, JC still there?
Yep.
Yeah, I'd just like to tell him that I'm a professed Christian, and it seems like to me that he's the kind of person that professes to be a Christian that gives all of us other Christians the bad name.
See, I told you, JC, a lot of people say that.
Well, you all sound like a broken record. They say the same thing about Pat Robertson and Pat Buchanan.
No.
Yes, they do.
They don't get on the radio and sit there and hoot and holler like a wild man.
Oh, because you're not familiar with revival preaching and preaching fire. You're not familiar with it. If you're afraid, turn off your radio. If you can't take the heat, then don't sin, because you're going to go to hell.
Honey draws more flies.
Huh? Don't call me honey. I ain't your honey. How dare you? I knew that you were something wrong with you.
JC,
what?
Do you really believe that people will burn in hellfire and brimstone and all that? You believe all that?
I'll tell you, there's a very special place for your listeners, Art, and it's vats and huge pits of boiling sewage where their skin will be taken off and they'll be dipped in salt and thrown into the boiling sewage vats. Yes, and fire and gnashing of teeth and wringing of hands and all horrible manner of things. Yes, I believe in hell.
Well, a true Christian would be preaching love and forgiveness.
I like the fire better than I did the boiling pits of sewage. God. Wildcard line.
For you.
Yeah. All right, wildcard line. You're on the air with JC now.
JC, have you ever got back to the book of Isaiah, and I paraphrase when it says in these days that the women will rule over the men?
That's the final days of Armageddon and the days when things will be backwards and everything will be wrong. Women are not to be the rulers. See, women, like I'm trying to say.
So you're not really into goddesses, are you?
No. God is a man. God is not a mother.
JC, how about religious freedom? Didn't you know that...
freedom for Christians.
Well, hold it for a second. Hold it for a second. I think you'll find the Muslim world. Have you ever seen the film Not Without My Daughter?
I have not seen that film because I refuse to watch anything dealing with Muslimism.
Well, I think you'll find that the very basis of that film is
Muslims are a bunch of religious nuts, and I don't like them.
You don't believe in freedom of religion for anybody but yourself, then, is that correct?
Listen to me.
I'm listening. How can I help but listen?
I'm trying to help you, and you're just trying to double talk me and call me a Muslim. I am not a Muslim.
No, I think you're being very facetious, all right? But at the same time, if you believe in religious freedom, I mean, you can look at the other half of the world, be they Hindu or Muslim or Shinto or whatever. They believe what you believe here.
You're not allowed to say that on the air, mister.
He doesn't believe in religious freedom. That's obvious.
I do believe in religious freedom.
Yeah, freedom
for the true religion. There's only one.
Yeah, what you mean is freedom to believe as you believe only. Right?
He certainly doesn't believe in extending religious freedom to anybody else.
That's right.
This country was founded on the fact that our founding fathers were trying to get away from all the pagans and the Muslims and the crazies in Europe, and they said freedom of religion, freedom for Christianity to reign supreme.
Well, sir,
see, you don't know history very well.
Well, I think this, all right, that I do agree with you, which might surprise you on the premise that based on roles that God has given women motherhood, and in the scriptures it teaches that the women are to follow the men as the men follow Christ.
Listen, he also cursed them with the curse of blood. What they did to Adam.
Well,
see what he did? Eve was weak.
Do you give up, caller?
Eve was weak.
Oh, no, not at all.
And it's her weakness that got us in trouble. She said, come on over here, bite the apple. And when we did, and I want to say another thing, that the rise of femininity has given, and Jerry Falwell pointed out that this Lilith fair is going across the countryside with a bunch of rampaging lesbians.
Well,
trying to convert all young women lesbians. They're out of control.
If you wouldn't talk so fast, my mind doesn't work quite as fast.
That's because you have an inferior brain, because you've been subscribing to Satan's inferiority.
Well, in any case, I'd say that Art, on this accusing Art of saying, an apologist for the old Soviet Union, I think you will find that Art has been very concerned about the racial retention of strategic weapons.
All right, hold it right there. We're not going anywhere else with that one. The Soviet Union. First time caller line, you're on the air with JC.
Hi, Art. This is Paula from Hawaii.
Hi, Paula.
How are you?
Finally, the feminine point of view.
Yeah, remember you called me Kelly Bundy ones.
Oh, my God. You have just mentioned one of the most evil
But I forgive
programs
you, don't
ever.
worry.
That's one of the
I hate
funniest.
that program, and I have worked against that program.
That is one of the funniest programs ever put on television.
That
Tell him
program
to
is
shut
so
up for a
demeaning. The
second.
Bundys are the most demeaning program that was ever on television.
JC, damn
Anyways,
it.
Art, I have a
Let her
question for
say
you.
something. She's calling all the way from Hawaii. Let her say something, JC.
Yeah, I'll send my phone bill to him if he doesn't mind.
Yeah, there you
Whatever.
go.
Anyways, I'm wondering if your guest tomorrow night is going to discuss the rituals that the Illuminati are going to be performing in the Great Pyramids later this month.
Highly doubtful.
Okay.
He's a theoretical physicist. Now, do you have any questions for JC?
Just let him know. Takes one to know one.
Listen, I have a question for you, woman. Hey, I have a question for you.
Okay, aloha, Art. Love ya. Bye.
Serving your man properly?
Wait a minute. Oh, she's gone. Too bad.
Because she couldn't take the heat. She couldn't take my righteous morality.
Yeah. Wild card line, you're on the air with the righteous, moral JC.
I've only got one quick little comment, and it's for JC. Actually, it's for you.
You've been drinking?
For your pleasure. Remember Liberal Charlie?
He's on a cellular phone, JC.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you remember Liberal Charlie?
Yes.
Yeah. Kind of wonder if maybe JC isn't maybe his third cousin or something.
No, that one even I couldn't swallow.
Charlie Liberal.
I know.
That name's familiar.
It's from years ago. No.
Anyway, have a good night.
No, they had a similar wine. That's about all.
I remember him. He was the voice of Soviet propaganda on your show.
East
you
of the
were in
Rockies.
collusion with him.
I was in collusion. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with JC.
Hey, Art.
Hey.
How are you?
What's on your mind?
You said you're guiding people, right?
I'm what?
JC,
you're guiding people, JC.
Yes, like a beacon of hope.
Are you guiding them to the loony bin?
To the what?
To the loony bin, to the nut house.
What about the nut house?
Because that sounds like where you're calling from.
You're just calling to insult me.
Now, you see how people perceive you, JC?
I've never heard an
intellectualize
opinion
a
like
comment. He has to insult me and attack my person.
You told Art he was in your bushes. That's ridiculous.
Someone's been stalking me.
Art,
yes.
God bless you for letting this man talk. It's been the funniest show I've ever heard. I swear to God.
You won't be laughing when you are thrown into the boiling pit of sewage.
That's wonderful,
There's
JC.
a place with your name on it. You better get a lot of sunscreen now, buddy, because you're going to burn in hell.
Have him on for a full night, man.
Yeah, one of these nights we'll do that. I don't know if anybody could handle it, JC. You think you could do a whole night sometime, JC?
I have the righteous constitution of the Lord, and a full night would be no problem at all. I have such religious might, and my word is so vital to America that I would do a full night, and I could still go. I should have my own show.
Well,
I should do my own show.
I don't know if I'd go that far. But having you on for a full night, or at least a part of a night, as much as anybody could stand, that might be fun.
I don't have to take this insult.
That's it. He hung up. Oh, yeah. Well, tomorrow night, Dr. Michio Kaku will be here, one of our nation's greatest physicists, theoretical physicists. In the meantime, after this, what do I say? There is nothing. There are no words. Except good night. Chuck Missler, he received a congressional appointment to the United States Naval Academy at Annapolis, Maryland, graduated with honors, received his commission in the U.S. Air Force. By the time he completed his military obligations, he had become branch chief of the Air Force's Department of Guided Missiles. His civilian career began as a systems engineer at TRW, followed by a senior analyst position in a think tank research center for both the intelligence community and the Department of Defense. Meanwhile, he completed a master's degree in engineering at UCLA with additional postgraduate studies, including applied mathematics, advanced statistics, and informational sciences. Then was recruited by the Ford Motor Company into a senior management position, left Ford to start his own company, served as a consultant to the board of Rockwell International for has participated in over 100 new business as a principal, strategic advisor, or turnaround specialist. During the past 30 years, he served on the board of directors of over a dozen public companies, was chairman and chief executive officer of 6 of them. And here once again are my guests, Chuck Missler and Mark. Chuck, welcome to the program, I hope.
Oh, indeed, and I appreciate the opportunity, Art.
It was a bit of a fight. The hotel phone didn't work, so now we have you, I think, sitting at a phone booth someplace with a table.
Yes,
and a chair.
Yes, there's a little lobby area, and I don't think it's traffic much. And I got a chair and a table, and glad to spend the time with you.
Excellent. All right. We in the first half hour, while you were probably madly dashing around, have been talking about genetics, Adam and Eve, evolution versus creation, and all that sort of thing. And the good doctor has been laying out why he believes that we are created, we are not something that evolved from a strike of lightning into a soup of something or another. And then we crawled forth and finally became what we are today.
Well, I'm glad that sounds like constructive conversation. And Mark is a good friend, and we've collaborated on a number of works, and he's a very competent guy.
All right. Well, you know, the question that we began with was, are UFOs real?
Well, you know, that's a very fundamental issue, and we feel we've researched that very thoroughly, and it's probably the most difficult research area we've ever undertaken because of all the screwball stuff that's out there. There's so many hoaxes, so much nonsense, and I've also was shocked to discover very well-funded disinformation in that area. But when you strip all that away, you're left with a residue that is really pretty undeniable.
Okay, going back just a little bit, you guys absolutely concede, the both of you, that there are people paid to disinform?
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. I got to speak carefully here because I'm not on any active clearances at the moment, but I have held them in the past, and because of my background, I work hard to honor those. I have friends in the classified community that have helped me.
So you're telling me you have personal knowledge, first-hand knowledge, that what I just said is true, but you can't talk about the details.
There are friends of mine that are still within the deeply classified community, and we can talk a little bit about that, but the point is, clearly, and it's a mystery to many of them exactly what's going on, but clearly, there's at more than one group within the government labyrinth that seem to spend significant budgets on disinformation.
All right. Here's the reason that I ask. As you know, my program is by far the largest of its type.
Absolutely.
And I encounter from time to time people that I would swear up and down are paid disinformants.
Not surprising.
And so I would imagine if what you say you know to be true is true, that this program would be the target of absolutely would be the target of disinformation.
You're absolutely. I would subscribe to that 100%, Art, because I can't speculate on what their agenda is. That's a complicated question. However, there's just no question about it. I think anyone that's followed this area carefully over the years will generally subscribe to the fact that there is a lot of disinformation, and some of it is not trivial pranks. Some of it is, in fact, I'll give one example I think is very conspicuous to your listeners, and that is the strange autopsy video that floats around.
Ah, yes.
That's a good example because if one studies it carefully, there seems to be pretty good evidence that it's a hoax. On the other hand, that's not the kind of thing that a couple of guys cooked up over a weekend.
You're darn right.
When you study that thing, you begin to realize, if you have any background in production, that thing had quite a budget. Someone went through an awful lot of trouble. What's a mystery about it is they didn't go to quite enough trouble to make it thoroughly convincing. There are a couple of tip-offs in the thing. The fact that you've got a guy behind the glass wearing a surgical mask is an example of that. The point is, I was inquiring. I got to be careful how I say this. I had some friends there in the deeply classified community, and that's one of the questions I brought up. He says, the autopsy video is obviously something that required a significant budget, a budget that's probably larger than they recovered by promoting the video. And the inadvertent disclosure was, there's plenty of money in the black community. Now, in the vocabulary we're talking about, black is not a racist thing. It's a term used of what's called...
Black Ops.
Yeah, a compartmented program.
Sure.
And maybe it's appropriate to just give a brief tutorial here. There are obviously contracts that are classified, secret, top secret, or whatever. If you really want to secure a contract, the next level is what they call compartmentization. What they do is they classify the existence of the contract. And since that is typically a intelligence ops, not necessarily, but usually, they call the cliche is if the program went black, it's a black ops.
Yeah.
I was shocked to discover, Art, that there is a third level. I was chairman of the board of a publicly traded defense contractor, and I was called into a meeting in which I discovered that there is a level of classification that in my several decades of defense activities I never even knew about, and that's where the existence of your customer is classified.
Of what?
The existence of the customer is classified. And we were in a meeting. I was a controlling shareholder. I was called in, and we asked to have our banker represented. First Interstate Bank was called in. And the people that came in passed out their business cards, but quickly pointed out that the titles and names are covers, and we knew that. And they pointed out that we were eligible for a contract. I won't go through the whole thing. I don't want to bore you with it. The point is, it turned out we did succeed in getting the contract, and it was the B-2 before it was handed over to Northrop. And the little business card said High Technology Research Associates, but that was just a cover at the time. The point is, I didn't realize there's a whole infrastructure, there are courts and other procedures to handle contractors' problems and things, in a community that is even deeper than the black community.
All right, well, let's stick with black for a second. I would like to understand a few things about black ops. One, if, with regard to the UFO issue, there is disinformation being spread intentionally, and I think we all agree there is, what is the motive?
That is a subject of substantial speculation. I'll tell you what makes it complicated to try to analyze is because some of the disinformation is aimed at discrediting the whole UFO area. But there's also projects sprung that seem to bolster the UFO area. I'll give you one example. I personally have the suspicion, let me say it very carefully, I personally have the suspicion that the sighting on March 13th of 1997 over Phoenix, Arizona,
yes, sir,
I believe that was a program, a military program of projection holography. The Department of Defense had a program called non-lethal weapons that went black in 1994. And I have no idea how they really execute this, but apparently they have the technology to create very large-scale illusions. The enigma is what do you do with it? You know, you can intimidate a battlefield, who knows? It's my suspicion for some subtle reasons that what really went on in Phoenix was a demonstration or a trial or a test of that technology. I suspect that what went over that segment of Arizona was not a UFO as we generally would tend to define it. Yeah. I think, personally, that was a military gambit of some kind as a test.
Okay, but let's reason this out a little bit. The military, specifically the Air Force, for example, not long ago had this big news conference with Colonel Haynes to debunk the whole Roswell business. And case closed, Roswell case closed, they called it, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Now, that would indicate that the government, as represented by the military, is trying to debunk the whole UFO thing. So why, in God's name, would they do something to intentionally create the illusion of a gigantic UFO over a major city? I mean, they're working...
I have no idea. The thing that you're following the Roswell theme, you could make a log of the various cover stories that have been sprung from 1947 on, and what's really a mystery about that is the cover stories are really fragile. They're really absurd. And this last one being no different. You would think... See, the other part of the problem, Art, is that you and I have a tendency, we generally would have a tendency to think of the government as some kind of entity. And the truth of the matter is, there are all kinds of subgroups, many of them at war with each other for various reasons.
All right, the doctor would know about that. The Drug Enforcement Agency, for example, monitors even common, everyday doctors and what they dispense, and if they dispense too much pain medicine, they get in trouble. Right, doctor?
Yes, very true.
Mm-hmm. And so one of the things I also suspect something that that is another controversy is this whole MJ-12 issue.
Yes.
And I've been through those documents, and I also been through all the debunking of years ago. And one of the suspicions that I've returned to, and it's just a suspicion, I have to be candid, I don't have inside information on this one, but I suspect, for lots of reasons, that the MJ-12 kind of thing does indeed exist. That it is there is some kind of a group that enjoys very deep cover.
Well, Stan Friedman believes very much these are indeed authentic documents.
And I am very impressed with Stan and the kind of and the approach of the approach that he took to his research. And I think that also it's interesting that the Vatican, in recent weeks, have a spokesman by the name of Balducci.
That's right.
He's appeared on Italian television 5 times at least that we know about.
That's correct.
And asserting that the Vatican have a intelligence network probably second to none. He argues that the UFOs are very real.
Oh, yes.
He made an interesting slip of the tongue. Because in alluding to one of the scientists, he called him an MJ-12 scientist.
He did?
Yes, he did, and that startled me.
I missed that.
And that caught my eye. I contacted fortunately I'm blessed with a good team of guys, and one of them is John Leffler, who's a good friend of Malachi Martin. And he's sort of one of the experts of Vatican watchers, if you will.
Well, I talked to Malachi the other day, and by the way, he confirmed everything you just said, not the MJ-12 business, but he said, look, the aliens are absolutely real.
Well, see, we wanted to find out if this Balducci thing was real or if it was one of these other, these strange echoes you hear. And apparently Balducci is legitimate, is real.
Oh, yes.
And it was Balducci's remark. He happened to allude, and I forgot the guy's name now. He's alluding to one of the experts or scientists, but he called him an MJ-12 scientist, which I thought was interesting because if nothing else,
it couldn't have been a slip of the tongue.
It could have been, or
no, it couldn't. Come on now, MJ-12 scientist. That is not. That's not Freud at work somewhere there.
No, I don't think so.
And the thing that hit me, talking to Stan Friedman and being aware of his thoroughness and methodical approach to life, what intrigued me is this whole surfacing of documents some 20 years ago and their subsequent debunking is exactly the kind of art form that the intelligence community has developed to a high level of science. The ability to surface a story and have it subsequently debunked is the perfect way to cover an operation.
By the way, is there any advice you can give to the listening audience with respect to how to discern when you're hearing disinformation or a paid disinformation agent? I ask that because everybody is accused of being one, including me, all the time. I get so sick of it, I finally tell people, yeah, that's right. I get my check every month. But for a second, let us be serious. Is there a way to know?
I think the only way, it almost becomes an exercise in cryptography in the sense that you have to judge the source and you have to put it against a fabric of background. Because good disinformation by its design and by the resources behind it should be not discernible as disinformation. So part of what one is faced with is putting together a perspective of multiple sources against a fabric of a worldview or a background, and that doesn't sound very pragmatic.
Well, I could give you a really good example of what I thought was disinformation. You remember the whole Hale-Bopp thing with Courtney Brown?
Mm-hmm.
Professor Brown?
Yes.
I am convinced to this day, of course, Courtney Brown will not reveal where he got the photographs or anything else, but I am convinced that was disinformation, intentional disinformation.
And it may have been planted, Art, to hurt you.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
But it may have been planted to hurt me. Now, we simply, of course, followed the trail of evidence back until we got stopped, and Courtney Brown said, no, I won't tell you where I got it. And that's where it ended. But it smelled to high heaven of disinformation.
Well, that's one of the impressive things about Stanton Friedman's work, is that he took the resumes of the so-called 12 prominent people and discovered, by getting into their backgrounds and building their dossiers, that one of them changed and really spent his career quietly debunking UFO stories even asserting technical cover stories that he knew were not scientifically valid. So that's one of the things you do get the impression that there has been, even as early as the late 40s, early 50s, very, very organized disinformation to discredit or confuse the whole UFO area.
The both of you sound like ufologists, and it seems to me that as Christians, you're slightly heretical, aren't you?
I got to tell you candidly, the book is very controversial. Our book, Alien Encounters, is controversial not because of the UFO background. We especially Mark has done such a thorough job at just trying to recap for the average listener the whole background, but candidly, that's pretty straightforward, solid stuff. The thing that's made the book very, very bitterly controversial is not the UFO stuff, it's the Bible stuff. Because in chapter 10, we deal very aggressively, very assertively with the whole issue of Genesis chapter 6. And it turns out that even though we take the classic position and defend it, I think, thoroughly, pastors and many, many people within the Christian community are really upset with us because they can't handle the whole idea of angels coming down and all that business. We present rather carefully and rather thoroughly what I might call the angel view of Genesis 6, that there were somehow some pretty strange beings that entered mankind's history to create a set of hybrids. That's in the Bible, and in fact, you really won't understand most of the Old Testament unless you recognize what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, we were talking, again, before you arrived, Chuck, with Dr. Eastman about genetics, and he said that our genetic code is, in effect, deteriorating, and that would occur to any race, that even with error correction, genetic code would slowly sort of deteriorate. And as we know, from a lot of people who have claimed to have been abducted, the experimentation seems to be related to reproductive systems and to genetics.
And by the way, Art, we cover that in detail in the book, in chapter 5. That's something we can get into tonight as we go on.
All right. All right, gentlemen, very good. Hold it right where you are. We're going to break, and you've got a good long, 10-minute or so break here. My guests are Chuck Missler and Dr. Mark Eastman. And we're talking about the unthinkable for Christians. Many Christians, anyway. And that is the presence of others. Here once again is Lorena McKinnon. If I'm lucky, and I manage to get across town in Vancouver fast enough, this next coming Sunday, I'm going to be seeing her on stage. From the high desert, I'm Art Bell, and this is Coast to Coast AM. From the high desert in the great American Southwest, I bid you all good evening or good morning, and welcome to another edition of the best in live overnight talk radio across this great land of ours and a bit beyond, actually. From the Tahitian and Hawaiian Islands in the west, eastward to the Caribbean and the U.S. Virgin Islands, south into South America, north all the way to the pole, and worldwide on the Internet. This is Coast to Coast AM, and I'm Art Bell. Great to be here with you. Now I've lost another award. The U.S. Television and Radio Fan Association, based in Monroe, North Carolina, comprised of 1,743 females throughout the U.S., selected nationally syndicated Talk America host Mike Siegel, congratulations, Mike, as the winner for Sexiest Voice in America. Other nominees announced July 27th were Art Bell, Don Imus, Gordon Liddy, and Bruce Williams. Annie Reagan, president of the organization, revealed that Art Bell placed second, number 2, followed by Don Imus, third, Bruce Williams, fourth, Gordon Liddy, fifth. So, there you go. Struck down again. Well, good evening, everybody. With reference to my opening remark in yesterday's program, there is a family emergency going on in my family right now, and it may be necessary at some point for me to leave the program tonight, or perhaps not, hopefully not. But I do want to warn you of that possibility. You're aware of the ongoing problems. I'm debating whether to make public what's causing all this or not. We'll see. Coming up for you shortly is Linda Moulton Howe. Attention, Canada. There has been a crop circle. It's a real doozy up in Canada. I do have a diagram of it. No aerial photographs yet, but a diagram supplied by Linda. And you're going to get to hear the farmer in whose field this was perpetrated. Notice the word I used, perpetrated. In the next hour, Betty Eadie will be here, who has just written a book called The Ripple Effect. She, of course, had a #1 New York Times bestseller, Embraced by the Light, and now The Ripple Effect, and so Betty Eadie will be here. Tomorrow night, Gordon Cooper, the astronaut, will be here. Looking forward to, boy, am I looking forward to that. Otherwise, East Timor, as you know, in a terrible crisis, hundreds being slaughtered in the streets. The UN, trying to debate whether it's going to stay or go, wants really Australian troops to come in and take care of biz in a regional way. In Moscow, a massive explosion shattered a 9-story apartment building in Moscow early Thursday, destroying scores of apartments, actually, and leaving 14 dead, more trapped in the rubble. They don't rule out the possibility that it was a bomb attack there. They're looking into it. Danforth will head the Waco inquiry coming up. He has agreed now to head that inquiry. So, all of that said, in a moment, we will go to Linda Moulton Howe, and there's a lot going on out there. So we'll talk to her about that. And as I said, if you would like to see a formation, a diagram of a formation. Now, it's kind of like modern art. But when I looked at this one, which is up on my website by Linda Moulton Howe's name, I thought planetary alignment. Boy, that looks like a planetary alignment if I've ever seen one. But that's me, and you may interpret it in a very different way. But it looks like what was going on in England has now moved across the Atlantic. Off to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She's a science advisor, reporter, and has been for years for Coast to Coast AM, and of course does a weekly report on Dreamland. She has won any number of awards for her environmental productions, actually programs. She produced some environmental programs back when people weren't really thinking a whole lot about the environment. They sure are now. So she does a great deal for the show. Here is Linda Moulton Howe. Linda, welcome.
Hi, Art.
Hi there.
Well, when I talked with you on Coast the end of July from Wiltshire, England, about all the crop formations there, none of us researching the mystery realized that at the same July time back in Canada, 2 large formations were discovered in wheat fields outside Hagersville, Ontario. Hagersville is southwest of Toronto on the north side of Lake Erie. The largest was a 303-foot pictogram made up of circles, corridors, and rings, including what looks like a human stick figure above a circle. The other smaller pictogram in another field was about 75 feet long, made up of several corridors connecting 2 circles. Farmer Larry Powell was renting the land from owner Clint King. Beginning July 11th, Powell started swathing the fields, cutting the wheat down to about 8 inches above the ground for harvest. He doesn't remember the precise day after July 11th, but he came upon the circles and corridors and became very angry, assuming that vandals had been in his wheat. So he drove his swathing machine over the formation. He didn't tell anyone until around July 22nd, when the farm's owner, Clint King, was shown the odd designs. Since much of the wheat was laid flat to the ground beneath the 8-inch stubble, aerial and ground photographs still show some of the pictograms, and you can see both drawings and photographs at my website, earthfiles.com, starting tomorrow, as refined drawings, surveys, and photographs are coming in as we speak tonight. So bookmark earthfiles.com to keep up with this unfolding story in which there are new developments daily so far. Now, the farm owner, Clint King, who also founded the First Nations Environmental Network for North American Indian tribes living in Canada, told me that he was stunned to see wheat stems delicately braided and interwoven with other braids of wheat. Here is Clint King.
Okay.
You know how you see weaving for fabric to make some kind of material?
Right.
That's how interwoven it was. It wasn't just simply laid down flat. It was actually woven. And it was really clear in the middle of the largest circle. There was a crisscross pattern like a medicine wheel. And right in the middle, it was very complex weaving going on there.
And when you say braid and interwoven, is it accurate for us to think about the braid of a girl's hair?
Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. Yeah.
So that the wheat was actually braided, one over one stem, another over another stem, and so forth?
Yeah, that's how it was.
Have you in your life ever seen anything like this before?
No, this has really surprised me. I never thought I'd ever see anything like this.
And upon walking through and examining all of these physical complexities and the actual braiding and weaving and the repetitions in numbers, what kind of thought have you been left with about what intelligence made this?
A force that has a very high intelligence and skill, greater than anything a person would have, simply because the wheat wasn't broken. And I'm just struck with wonder. Besides, at how incredibly beautiful it looks, and yet so simple. I'm just struck by that. You know, just to see wheat laying over in a field, one strand at a time, and then to look at them all together.
Wow.
To show such a stunning message, so simple yet so complex.
Do you think any human could have done that?
No, it was too complex for a person to have done it. They might have been able to draw it, on a graph or on a piece of paper, but even that would have taken a lot of skill just to draw it out.
I talked with one of Clint King's neighbors who lives about a mile south of the fields containing the pictograms. Carl Salt said one night in the middle of July he was up reading around 3 a.m. He looked out the window toward King's farm and saw a glowing object, quote, the color of a red traffic light, unquote, moving up and down like an elevator above the trees between his property and Clint King's.
Like I'm looking at the back window now and over the tree lines. These trees are quite tall. They'd have to be probably 50, 60 feet in the air, and that object from where I'm looking at now would have to be pretty big. Like I would imagine at least, 20 to 30 feet in height. So,
and was it circular or oval?
No, I really couldn't distinguish it. It's sort of like a resonant glow around this object, whatever it was. And it was like a light bulb almost. It was just like red light bulb going up and down again.
And so it went up and down again like an elevator.
Yes, and then it hovered around the tree line, just like going across the tree line.
So it moved horizontally.
Yes, I thought the object was pretty large because I'm looking right at the trees now, and now to see it in the daytime and actually, to put my fingers up against the window here and put the tree line, the object must have been pretty big.
If you extend your hand at an arm's length distance like you're doing,
yes,
and you compare it against the trees, how would you compare?
Well, if you put your fingers up against a window now, I would say it'd be about the width of my two fingers, which is almost the width of a canopy of one of these large trees I can see now. So
okay,
it would have to be at least maybe 20 feet wide too.
So it's the width of two of your fingers,
yes,
and at approximately a mile.
Yes. Yeah.
That is pretty big.
That is large, yes, it is. It almost covers the top of the canopy of that tree that I'm looking at right now. Went over the canopy of the tree and then came back and then started going down again. And then it went down and I didn't see the light again.
And going down behind the trees, what would be behind those trees?
Well, behind those trees would be Clint's field.
I also talked with the editor of the Turtle Island News in Ohsweken, Ontario, who was one of the first people to photograph these formations. She said that at some of the circle centers in Clint King's wheat, she could see signs of scorching, as if the plants had been subjected to heat. She also confirmed that the braiding and weaving in the pictograms were very detailed, as Clint King has described. Around that same time, on July 15th, in Montebello, Quebec, a very large and very odd formation resembling letters and character symbols was discovered in a wheat field northeast of Ottawa, near the Ottawa River. Some people thought it must be a hoax, but others who actually saw the lay of the plants reported that the strange hieroglyph might actually be genuinely mysterious. If so, no one can understand the obscure message, a common complaint about crop formations. You can see a diagram of the symbols at earthfiles.com drawn by Paul Anderson, Director of Circles Phenomenon Research in Canada. On August 7th, a few days before the total solar eclipse, a 100-foot diameter circle was found pressed firmly into grass in British Columbia near the Yukon border. The very remote location at Dease Lake was so difficult to get to and not easy to see from anywhere. So many people said, well, what was the point of this? And why at the same time, over the British Columbia border in Whitefish, Montana on August 6th, did someone put a ring about the size of a football field in wheat not far from Highway 40? The ring was divided into 4 quadrants that projected outward with trident-like forks beyond the perimeter of the ring. It closely resembles a Native American symbol for the sun. Last year in 1998, at about the same time, an almost identical shaped but smaller sun symbol was discovered in a wheat field only 5 miles from this 1999 ring. And if it hadn't been for the sharp eye and perseverance of Whitefish resident Melody Watts, maybe no one would ever have known. When she contacted local media and airports about photographing the ring, no one was even interested. So far, Melody is the only person who has provided aerial and ground photographs of the 1999 ring formation. If there is anyone else out there listening who might have taken photographs while flying over Whitefish, Montana around August 6th when it was fresh, please contact me at either my email address, earthfiles@earthfiles.com, or my fax, 215-491-9842. Melody and I both would like to see if we could find fresh photos. And again, my email address is earthfiles@earthfiles.com, or my fax is 215-491-9842.
Listening to the Canadians, Linda, and the British talk about crop circles, Canadians, for example, are pretty laid back. You know, they're just easygoing people. And when you listen to them, somehow there's even more impact from them in their quiet way, yes. In assessing them. It's of greater impact. We Americans were pretty excitable.
Yes, that's true. Well, now we're going to hear Melody, who lives up in Whitefish, Montana, describe how the plants are laid down in this amazing ring. Here is Melody Watts.
All right.
In the ring itself, half of the ring was going clockwise, and the other half right next to it, in the same 6 feet or 8, whatever, was going the opposite direction. The wheat was laid clockwise, and right next to it, it was laid counterclockwise.
So the ring,
in the complete circle.
So the ring itself was made up of 2 completely opposite flows of wheat.
Yes, it was amazing. And also the forks and the lines going through. The forks and all the lines were going directly towards the middle. There was no, they were pulled into the middle from the outside, the forks and the straight lines.
So the plants are all laying from the trident forks at the quadrant are pointing into the center of the ring.
Yeah, it's like it was very odd. I couldn't believe it. And then when it got to the center, it was in a circle. It was swirled like a swirly bob in the middle, in the very middle.
Then around 3 o'clock in the afternoon on September 3rd, farmer David Robertson was swathing his brother-in-law's wheat field near Neilburg, Saskatchewan, when he came upon not just one circle, but 11 circles.
Oh, and that's exactly where we're going to pick up when we come back. It is the bottom of the hour, and I've put up a diagram that Linda was kind enough to send. I quickly scanned it and sent it to Keith. It's on the website now by Linda's name. I'm Art Bell, and this is Coast to Coast AM. You know, I've been in the Yukon territories, and they are beautiful. The Yukon territory is just astounding, but it is countless thousands of miles of almost absolutely nothing. And so it's the last place you would ever in your whole life imagine anybody would perpetrate a crop circle fraud because nobody would see it. I've been there, Linda, I know. Anyway, welcome back. We're going to talk now about Neilburg, Saskatchewan, Canada.
Yeah, but you're making such an excellent point because that 100-foot diameter circle that so far no one has even gotten a photograph of, but somebody walked in there and sent the report out that here was this 100-foot diameter circle plunked in the most remote area up near the Yukon border. And that was the question I was asking about why, what would be the reason. And when we go to Neilburg, it is a very small, remote farming community west of North Battleford, not far from Alberta. The population is 400, and only 12 teenagers graduated from high school this year.
That's a small town.
Yep, and no one in Neilburg, teenager or adult, is calling this formation a hoax. And in a year when hostile farmers have cut down several good formations in England as well as at Clint King's farm, it's been so refreshing for me to talk to farmer David Robertson from Neilburg, who is so genuinely baffled by what he found, and he does not have an attitude about it. He is curious like you and I. He would like to understand what's happening, and he's with us tonight to talk, representing farmers who have found these formations. And Dave Robertson, I think you're on the line, and welcome to Coast to Coast.
Yes, good evening. How are you tonight?
Hi, Dave. It's good to have you. So you're a farmer up there, huh?
Yes, I work for a farmer up here, yes.
How long in the farming business?
Well, I was born and raised on the farm and been with it basically all my life.
It is apparently a very, very small town, as Linda indicated, 4 people graduating from school. Mm-hmm. A very small town.
And Neilburg is considered to be sort of a remote area, and the farm where the formation was found is not easy to get onto, right, Dave?
No, it isn't, no.
And if I understand correctly, the wheat field had been sprayed on August 27th, and there was no formation then.
That's correct.
And the next person to enter the field was you on September 3rd because you were swathing the wheat for harvest.
That's right, yeah.
Now, could you talk to us and think of a radio audience and trying to paint a picture for us with words of what it was like when you first saw the circles and what you did and saw?
Well, as swath in the field, you go in a round and round rotation, and I made a few rounds, and I come across this first circle, and everything was flattened down, and I thought, well, you know, what the heck, flattened this down, but never thought too much of it, so I made the next, because the circle was on the outside edge of the swather, which was about 30 feet from the cab of the tractor, and so the next round I went around, I come right over top of it with the tractor, and when I looked down on it, then I seen that it was basically a perfect circle, and all of the grain was packed right down, and right beside it, the swather went over top of the second circle, and it was exactly the same. Well, this sort of got me curious, so I got off and took a look and to see if I could see, you know, what caused it or anything like this. Couldn't find any human or any kind of tracks or anything on the ground. There was lumps of dry dirt there that hadn't been broke or disturbed, so I knew nobody had walked over it or anything like that. So I sort of come to the conclusion, well, gee, what's this? And then I started looking around, and I, started finding more and more circles. So I started walking out through the crop to check out these other circles, and I noticed when I got into them, they were smaller, but they were in the first three I seen they were all in a clockwise rotation. And when I walked over into these other circles through the crop, they're likely anywhere from 6 to 10 feet standing crop between the circles.
How many total circles were there?
There was 10 circles and one small, sort of like a signature circle, is about 3 feet or 4 feet across.
Like a grape shot, Art.
Yeah, it wasn't. The 10 main ones were flattened right to the ground, but the lumps of dirt on the ground weren't touched or flattened or anything like that or broke down.
David, had you been familiar with the crop circle phenomena?
Not really. I read a bit about it, on the odd newspaper clipping or something like that.
I guess what I'm asking is, when you walked in there, after you had walked through each circle, did you begin to understand what you had found?
Not really, no. I did, just more or less dumbfounded. I didn't know what it was. It was, something totally new to me.
And Art and David, something that really fascinates me is that these three arms swirling out from a center circle is reminiscent of a formation in 1996 at Windmill Hill in England. 3 gigantic arms sweeping out from a center circle in what are called Julia sets. It's a form of fractal. Now, that formation in England 3 years ago was 1,000 feet from one end of an arm to the end of the other arm. This one that you found, Dave, the surveyor walked off at 185 feet, and she did a very detailed checking of the way that the crop was laid in circle after circle. And it is one of the most interesting things that I've seen, because it is a strange, not exactly alternating every other, but in some cases it is going clockwise, counterclockwise, clockwise, working down the arm. The center circle is clockwise. And then as you go off on the arm that goes south, there is a pattern that's alternating clockwise and counterclockwise. And then to the arm that goes off to I think it's the west, it is all counterclockwise.
David, how perfect were these circles?
Well, I know I couldn't draw them that perfect myself if I put a peg in the center of the ground and went around with a string.
And you'll see these pictures when we get them uploaded at earthfiles.com. We are finally getting them, starting to get them assembled. The surveyor has just been taking the photographs, and she's done some excellent work.
Are they going to be aerial photographs? Or
we aerial photographed them this morning.
You did? Okay.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, but we haven't got the things developed yet. We took them to the thing this afternoon to get them developed.
All right. In the meantime, on my website, I do have the diagram Linda sent, and I when I first looked at it, I mean, it's like modern art. I said it earlier. To me, it looks like almost a formation or an alignment of planets.
Well, and the other interesting thing, Art, following up the observation earlier about remoteness, this is the very first time that I know that anything in the fractal category has been in North America. We've had pictograms in Canada, and we've had pictograms in the United States, but we've never had let's call it a 3-armed Julia set sort of theme, like this one now up in Nielberg. And I think, David, you could talk to us about how difficult it would be for anybody to know that formation was there. Here, you guys who were working right there didn't know it was there till you went right over it.
Let's try this one, Linda, since we actually have David, a farmer, on the line, the farmer. David, could you go out in your own field and create this?
No, there's no way I possibly could with my intelligence or, the equipment I would have to work with. I wouldn't get it anywhere near that perfect and, and lay the grain down that perfect and It's like the stalks, they're bent over right at the ground. There isn't a stalk broke between the ground and the head. They're all laid down without being broke or out flattened. And they're all laying flat on the ground with lumps of dirt not being disturbed or broken or flattened out. And there's no way that, that I ever could figure out anything that could possibly do that without disturbing some of it.
David, when you found this, after you contemplated and sat there, I'm sure, and thought, wow, look what I have, what did you do?
I had a paper lunch bag in the tractor, and I took and drew a picture of it. I didn't trust my memory because I figured, well, gee, I got to have a picture of this or nobody will believe me what it is because, it was weird. And another thing, like I noticed right away, too, like when I got off the tractor and looked like there was no tracks or no marks around, and you could go an inch outside the circle, and the wheat was standing perfectly. There wasn't a head broke, damaged, or a stalk broke or damaged at all. And as far as I'm concerned, no human or something like that could do that without at least damaging one or two.
We've got to ask, did you or anybody else around you observe any unusual phenomena in and or around the time that, or prior to the time that you found these circles?
No, nobody's heard or noticed anything around at all that we've talked to anyway. So.
And Dave, if it were humans in a helicopter or a plane, wouldn't you all have heard that?
Yes, I think we likely would have, because that would make enough noise. Because there was a farmyard a mile to the east of it and a mile to the west of this site.
And right now, looking at the details of no evidence of entry in that field, how else could anything have gotten in to make those circles without going in from the air?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the only way had to be from the air. Because the ground wasn't wet or anything like that. It's moist, but it's not wet, and the lumps of dirt on top are dry, and if you just touch them with your finger, they'll crumble or break.
What about weather phenomena? Have you had any unusual, weird weather phenomena up there?
No, we haven't. We have 20, 30-kilometer winds is the highest we've had, and they're, just not gust of winds, just, a regular wind blowing. It's been a bit, some days it's been cloudy with a little bit of showers, but likely 2 or 3/10 of an inch of rain a day would be the tops. And the rest has just been clear, sunny weather. Good, good harvest weather.
And I learned another thing tonight, that Judy Arndt, when she was doing the survey, found swollen nodes on the plants, and she's taken some photographs of that, which we will be able to look at as well. And that art begins to separate this formation into that category of physical effects on the plants that you can't make with boards or string anyway.
David, I really, really want to thank you. Do you want to just venture a guess for us, David, about what did this? You want to join the crowd and guess what did this to your field?
Well, I don't know. I've guessed a lot of things, but I guess when it comes right down to it, it's whatever you believe. If you believe it could be one thing, it could be that, and if you believe it could be something else, it could be that. But so far, I've left it with an open mind, and I haven't drawn any conclusions of what it is, or who or whatever did it, or what it is. But to me, it's got to be something. The conclusion I have sort of kicked around the most is it has to be some higher intelligence than what we are, or something that's somebody that's really got some higher form of transportation than what we have, or somebody that's designed something that the rest of the world don't, or the rest of the common people don't know about.
Well, I asked you whether you could create this, because after all, you have farm tools and machinery, and if you couldn't create it, sure enough, a couple of teenagers couldn't come out there and do that, could they?
No, there's no way anybody could do it on the ground without leaving marks in the soil.
David, I want to thank you for coming on the air with us.
And Art,
yes.
Could I give you both another piece of news? That just before we went on the air, Paul Anderson, who is the Director of Circles Phenomena Research in Canada, and edits a wonderful website about Canadian formations with a very long address, but he said just say go to earthfiles.com and link hit his website link and go to his site. And he confirmed that the Charlottetown Guardian newspaper in Prince Edward Island ran a brief story on August 28th about a farmer named Bernard Handrahan, who back in mid-August found 2 circles in, get this, his blueberry field. One was 18 feet in diameter, and the other was 12 feet. Mr. Handrahan was quoted as saying, quote, they were perfectly circular and the centers were untouched, unquote, implying that the circles might have been rings around untouched berry crops. And this is, to my knowledge, the first time that we've heard about crop formations in blueberry fields.
Boy.
This
Again,
is Prince Edward Island.
Okay, again, David, thank you so very much. And,
thank you, David.
And good night.
Thank you very much, and good night yourself.
You bet. That was very, very nice of him to come on.
Oh, he's terrific.
I understand that a lot of farmers are really ticked off about this because it brings people tromping into their field, but it well may be that he's so remote that hopefully that would occur. But
well, I think his attitude is refreshingly right, that he's not angry, he's curious, and he wants to understand what's happening like the rest of us. And I thought it was wonderful to be able to hear from a farmer himself who walked into a field and was as baffled as he is.
Well, I thought an interesting answer was the one he gave to whether with all his farm equipment he could create this, and he can't. So, I don't know what we've got on our hands, Linda, but I guess we better struggle to find out, because I have a feeling it's important.
I do, too. I think it is profoundly important, and there's not a single question that in some of these formations, whether it's England, Canada, Australia, the United States, or wherever, we have been able to demonstrate that something has happened at the chemical level, the physical level in plants that you could not alter with strings and boards. And the very issue of what is a spinning plasma vortex, as Dr. Levengood hypothesizes, with microwave frequencies in it, what could be generating it, by whom, and why. And as you just heard from Dave Robertson, everybody who comes in touch with the formations in the fields, including myself, comes away with a sense that there is an intelligence with a very specific intent behind what is happening.
That's a $64 million question. All right, Linda, we're out of time. Again, your fax number, that's all we've got time for.
215-491-9842, and it's been a pleasure to share this with you tonight.
Thank you for being here, Linda. Good night.
Take care.
All right, there you have it. That's Linda Moulton Howe, and you heard it from the farmer himself. If you want to see the diagram, it's on my website right now. This is Coast to Coast AM. All right, here comes Betty Eadie. She's written a new book called The Ripple Effect, and we're going to talk all about it. Betty Eadie's phenomenal New York Times #1 bestseller of over 10 million copies, that's a lot of books, folks, Embraced by the Light and the Awakening Heart, touched millions of lives who seek release from their fear of death. At 31 years of age, Betty Eadie died in a hospital after surgery, experienced the most profound near-death experience ever. She reveals in her experiences in heaven, including meeting Jesus, the presence of angels, being reunited with departed loved ones, the power of prayer, and more. Embraced by the Light, her first book, is actually one of the all-time bestsellers in the history of books. How's that? Anyway, she knew upon returning that she was to share the experience at the appropriate time, and the message of God's unconditional love would reach around the world. That message went out in 1992 with the publication of Embraced by the Light and was increased and amplified by the Awakening Heart. The message now ripples out to millions who in turn share the power of God's love with others. This is the ripple effect at its finest, creating waves of positive energy that are full of love, going forward until one, that love will be experienced by all. And she can tell us about the other side, what lies beyond. Here is Betty Eady. Hi, Betty.
Hi, Art. Thank you very much. That was a wonderful introduction, and I have really looked forward to this evening with you. There seems to be a tremendous amount of energy in the air tonight. I don't know if you feel it, but I certainly do.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I do. You're going to have to yell at us a little, Betty.
Okay, I will.
Oh, that's good.
Is that better?
Yep, that's much better.
All right.
Yeah, there's a lot of energy building on this planet, period, right now. We're in a very strange time, and, you know, people will say, millennium madness, whatever it is, I don't know, but it is strange. I mean, there's absolutely no question about it, or we're just all being psyched somehow, you know, by the millennium. I can't figure it out, but I mean, you're right.
Yes, these are different times, and there is this wonderful power that is coming. It's a change, a metamorphosis is about to take place, and the earth is preparing for the cleansing that everyone is talking about. And I suppose that does produce not only feelings of just mere excitement as I feel tonight, which is a powerful energy, a good energy, a positive one, but there's a downside to that, and that is a tremendous amount of fear that all of this is creating as well. So I suppose people are greatly interested in what God might have in store for us, or what is just if they don't believe in God.
Well, the greatest fear that man has is of death.
Right.
I don't think anybody would argue about that. It's greatest
No.
unknown, the greatest fear, and we all want to know or imagine, Betty, that it isn't just lights out, you know, velvet black and all over. We want to somehow we want to know that, and I guess you can tell us, can't you?
Well, I experienced that, and I had a tremendous amount of fear about dying before I had the experience.
Why did you? What happened to you that brought you to surgery?
I actually went in with it was a minor surgery, really. I mean, it was a common one. It's a partial hysterectomy.
Okay.
And so there was no fear. I was 31 years old, very healthy, strong. And so I went in, had the surgery. The surgery went fine. I hemorrhaged during the surgery. They repaired that. But it was later that evening, after 9:30, that I hemorrhaged again, and this time I died.
Were you in the hospital? In other words, you were an inpatient?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so you were actually in the hospital, and the hemorrhage began, and this time you lost enough blood, I guess, that, vital signs stopped?
According to the doctor, when you lose the amount of blood that I lost, your heart fibrillates.
Yes.
And then just stops beating.
It's kind of like a pump without anything to pump.
Exactly. And this was part of the sensation that I felt when I was experiencing my death. I felt my heart fibrillating. There was this tremendous movement in my chest, and then it stilled. And at that moment, there was a sound, a popping sound, just a pop. And I then felt myself shooting up, and I turned and I looked down. I was at the ceiling level in the hospital room. I looked down and I could see my body lying on the bed. This was very surprising to me because at this point, this was in 1973, I had not heard of near-death experiences. I had never read anything about it. I didn't even believe in this. My belief was at that time that when you died, you are merely buried in the grave and you stayed there until resurrection day. Mm-hmm. At that time, you would come up, you would either go to heaven or you would go to hell. And I expected that. But what I didn't expect was to look down and see my body laying there. And I knew that I was dead. I had worked as an LPN in the hospitals before. I know the look of death. And I wanted to see my body, and I came down closer. I saw my body actually in a multi-dimensional form, which was very interesting because I wasn't looking through my earthly eyes, but I was seeing through
spiritualized.
Did you have the same kind of, as you and I speak now on the radio, our two consciousnesses are interacting.
Right.
Did you have the same kind of awareness or consciousness?
Absolutely.
You did.
There was not even one moment of lost consciousness.
Were you, at that point when you were out of your body, scared? Were you apprehensive? Were you elated? Were you curious? What emotions?
I think at first I was maybe just a little bit frightened because as I turned and looked down at the bed, I could see my body. I didn't know that the body was mine at first, which when I came down closer, then I could see that it was me, which was interesting to me because I'm used to looking at myself in the mirror.
Sure.
But as I looked down and saw my body, I didn't recognize it. When I did see that this body was mine, then my first thoughts were for my family. I worried about them. And I thought, the first thought was actually, oh my God, I'm dead. And nobody is here to know that because there was not a nurse, not a doctor. I was alone, and then I thought of my family.
So in other words, you hadn't even been able to punch the nurse's station button or anything?
No, I couldn't. I was too weak. When I awakened and felt this weakness, it was during that time that I had already hemorrhaged to a certain point to where I couldn't even move.
Gotcha.
And then at that point, my heart fibrillated, and I died. What happened to me after that, because I wanted to see my family, I was able to go there. But first I was greeted by three beings that appeared to me. They reminded me of what I would probably think of as monks, in that they had soft brown robes on, they had belts around their waist. But I knew that they were not physical beings.
All right, let me take you back again. You were above your own body.
Yes.
And how did the transition occur from where you were to suddenly being in this whole new place that you're now beginning to describe? Was it just sort of a fade out and fade in, or were you just suddenly somewhere else, or what?
You mean coming out of my body?
Well, yeah, you came out of your body, you said.
I came out of my body from what I would say would be my chest. Some people describe when they've had their near-death experience coming out at their forehead or various places, but I actually felt myself coming out of my body from my chest.
Okay, and you rose and you saw your own body, but
yes.
But then you moved to another realm.
Yes.
Now, how did that transition occur?
At first, before I went on from that into another realm, I actually traveled through space here on Earth to my home because I wanted to visit my family. I wanted to see them one last time.
So what you wanted to do is what happened?
Exactly. I had this strong desire of love for them, and I wanted to be with them.
And so it happened. There you were.
And then I went, actually, as I thought it, I looked around the room, and I looked for a place to exit, which is another curious thought, because wouldn't you naturally exit through the door?
Right.
But my spirit just looked for a place to exit, and I went through the window, because the windows do not open. They're solid windows in the upper floors of a hospital. They do not open.
Right.
And I went through the window, and it was so natural to me. As more time elapsed, everything became more natural to me, being out of the body than actually having experienced the body. As I traveled through the over the city, I could actually see below me the trees, and I went right out into my home, right through the walls, into my living room, where I saw my husband sitting in the chair. He was reading the newspaper. My children, I looked at the clock, it was 9:45. The children were running up and down the stairs. I remember thinking that my husband had promised to put the children to bed at 8:30. And here it was, 9:45, and he wasn't paying any attention to them, and they were just having a good time on the stairs, throwing pillows at each other.
And I was annoyed. I was annoyed at him. So even as I think back on it now, even as a spiritual being, I had feelings, I had emotions, I had thoughts of the things here on the earth. But as I looked at my husband, as much as I love him, as much as I loved my children, I didn't want contact with them. I didn't feel that I needed it. And then as I stood there watching them, I began to know, and I'm to put the know in quotes because it's more of something deep within the spirit, the soul, that I had existed on earth at a time for them that was needed, and now they no longer needed me, and it was okay for me to go on.
This was something you just understood.
I understood, and so I left.
One more question on behalf of everybody who wants to know these things.
Mm-hmm.
As a spirit, Betty, when did you had sight? You said you could see your husband, you could see your children.
Mm-hmm.
And what of yourself? I mean, what of yourself?
At that time, I knew that I was whole, but I wasn't interested in myself. I felt that I had all of my body parts. I didn't look at myself until much later. When I went back to the hospital, and then I was drawn into this by this energy, into what then appeared to be like a tunnel. And I was drawn into this dark space. It was totally black. Now, before I had my experience, I was claustrophobic and very frightened of darkness. I was raised in boarding schools, Indian boarding schools, and that had taught me a lot of fear.
Mm-hmm.
So under normal conditions, if I were in something dark, I would have absolutely panicked. But in this place, it was so filled with love, so nurturing and so beautiful that I actually felt that I would prefer this place to any other place that I had ever experienced. And then I saw a pinpoint of light that pierced this blackness, and then I wanted to go to that light.
Mm-hmm.
It was my heart's desire to go to the light, and at that point, I swirled and began to travel towards that light, going feet first. This is when I noticed that I had a spiritual body.
I see.
Because I could see then that I had feet, and they were out in front of me, but they were of a different kind. I could describe it best by saying that it looked like spun light.
Some people have breached births. It sounded like you had a breached death.
I think so.
Feet first, huh?
I think so. I think it's also probably has something to do with personality, because when I want to go somewhere, I want to go direct, and I do go feet first. So, I don't know.
Most people would be incredibly frightened of, if they were aware they were dead, which you obviously were, to go to an area where there was nothing at first but blackness.
Right, I would have been. I mean, I know, had I not had this experience, Art, I would have, it would be something more frightening to me than anything I could imagine. It was frightening to me. After having had this experience, death absolutely does not frighten me. There is nothing on this earth that I am afraid of, because the worst thing that can happen to you is that you would die. And so it removes your fear. And then having gone beyond that, even beyond the death, beyond the darkness, beyond this place where spirits seem to be in this black space, and I knew that every one of these spirits were being nurtured and being loved by God.
So you could feel others about you but not see them as such?
Exactly. Now, normally, that would have really panicked me.
You bet.
Yes.
But not, I guess, if you were sort of given a feeling of complete love, why you'd be comforted by that, I suppose.
Yes, it was the love that held me there, and it was the love that comforted me, and it was the most beautiful place that I had ever been. It was the most wonderful that I had ever felt. I cannot overemphasize the beauty of that darkness.
No pain, no physical sensations.
Nothing. It was just beautiful. It was as though my body, my spiritual self was going through a healing, a transformation, because everything of the earth dissolved away from me, and I was just filled with this tremendous love, like just being held. If you feel the comfort of your father's arms or whatever was your security, if you could just imagine that is that comfort that you feel, and then just intensify that by 1,000 times. I mean, it was so beautiful. But the beauty was yet to be experienced, and that was the beauty of following the light. After that light pierced this darkness.
Which began as like a pinpoint of light.
A pinpoint, just a speck of light, enough to attract my attention. And I knew, Art, that anyone in this dark space with me, any one of us, if we saw that light and we so desired it, we could all turn and go towards that light. But I also knew that there would be spiritual beings who would not be prepared to go there. They would not release what they had here in this comfort and in this beauty, that they would not follow that light. But I wanted to.
Do you think, Betty, this is an interesting question, that some who had been mortal and were there in your condition, sort of in the black waiting room, if you want to think of it that way, do you think some of them did not go to the light, Betty?
I think that some of them did not go to the light because they did not trust or believe in it. This may come from the person's belief system. You know, there are some of us that feel that at the minute we die, we're going to go straight to hell.
I understand, and maybe we do. Hold on, Betty, we'll be right back to you. So some may not have gone to the light. Betty, welcome back. Did you see a movie, Betty, called The Rapture?
I did. Yes, I sure did. If I'm thinking of the right one, it was a woman that had an experience and came back with special gifts for healing.
No, actually, that was another one. The Rapture actually was a pretty rough movie in a lot of ways. It began almost pornographically, I would say, and it was about a woman who was determined that the end days were here and God was coming back, and she went out into the desert with her child. And she ended up killing her child. And she went, when she finally died, she went to an area like you have just described. And when she got there, Betty, she did, I guess, her own life review, if you will. And she actually saw her daughter there, and she told her daughter at the end, this was so incredible, she told her daughter that she was not coming with her, she was not going ahead, she was not going into the light, because she didn't have the right to. In other words, she had made her own decision, she had judged herself, and she was not going forward. That's why I asked you about whether you thought some did not go forward to the light.
Yes, I knew that this was also a choice of theirs, not of God's. I too experienced a life review. It was sometime later in my experience, but I had to experience and see for myself and feel for myself all of the pain that I had created while I was here on Earth. It was not a very happy experience for me, but I was also allowed to experience all of the good that I had produced, that I had created. And although there was very little of that.
Well, I was going to ask, was it like a short subject, the good part, and a long feature film, the bad part?
Well, for me, that's exactly what it was, because I had during my early life, developed quite an attitude, and the attitude was negative. And I was just basically giving out to the world what I had been taught, and it wasn't good. I had to experience that and see that I had indeed hurt people and that I needed to change my life. But I also witnessed some of the good things that I had done, and I was amazed to find that most of the good was actually very simple things that I did without thinking. Sometimes we go out and we do good deeds because we feel that, well, we have to, like maybe give into a charity because, our foundation or organization has to, or those are not considered great acts of kindness. What was considered great acts of kindness on my part was actually just very simple little smiles, pleasant thoughts that I had about other people, things that I would never have considered as a great deed here on earth, but just simply something that I felt for someone else, a love. And when I experienced that, then I knew that it wasn't in me to be the loving person that I could have been. I also noticed when we were talking earlier about my spiritual body, and I noticed how dim my body was, the light from my body that just the simple glow from that. Often when I'm out on speaking engagements, I tell people trying to describe this that it would be compared to the greater light. It was like 7 watts of light compared to thousands and thousands of watts, if you can imagine it.
I can.
And the light is the love. And this is what distinguishes the great ones on the other side in heaven. I'm calling it heaven not because that name was given me, but because we think of heaven as being a beautiful place, and so most people can connect with that thought. So in heaven, these glorious beings of tremendous light are that way because of the love that is within them. And this is what God is. God is love. And so that love flowed from them. It is who they are. And my little 7 watts of light was so humiliating, and I was very embarrassed. I was a very judgmental person, and I was shown that life here on earth, this earth, is not as we think it to be. That, in fact, the heavens scrolled back is the best way I can describe it, and they said, "Betty, look down. We want to show you something." And they showed me a man, a drunken bum, I call him, that was laying on the street. And they said, "What do you see?" And I said, in that judgmental attitude or tone, "Why, just a drunken old bum." And they said, we want to show you what this man looks like in spirit. And so they took this man's spirit and they stood it before me, and I was so embarrassed. I will never forget that humiliation. And they said, this man, because he glowed with this tremendous light, they said he gave his entire life on earth to one other soul. He is going to lay on that street until this man passes him, and when their eyes connect, that spiritual passage, that love is going to be felt, and that love is going to change the entire world of this other man. They told me he was an attorney. And because that man changed...
really?
Yes.
I didn't think that many of them made it.
Well, they showed me one.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
This attorney, because he would make this spiritual connection with this drunken man, and they were soul friends before this earth. And because of that connection, this attorney was going to do some tremendous work on the earth. And after that exchange was made, then that drunken bum could come home.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you.
It's a big one.
If that is what it's all about.
Yes.
If it's about love and the amount of love.
That's all it is.
Well, there's a lot of people out there in trouble. And,
yes.
Of course, I guess somehow the comforting part might be that we don't all have to be perfect. None of us are in order to make it. But you got to kind of wonder where you are in the scale of things.
Well, we are all here. There's a saying that we are all spiritual beings here on earth to have an earthly experience.
Right.
And that is absolutely true, because as spiritual beings, before we came here, We wanted this experience to be here. Each and every one of us, and I was told this while I was there, that each and every one of us were handpicked, selected by God to experience Earth. And we were going to take with us the love that we had already developed, that was within us, and we were going to express it. We were going to use that to create with it. We were going to explore it. And he knew that we would make mistakes. We knew we would make mistakes, but that we would all return back to him. Now, this totally goes against what I had been taught as a child in my religious structure.
Do you think there's a hell?
No, not as we understand it. There is hell in that hell is the opposite of heaven, and it is expressed that way in the Bible because it shows us one of the worst things that could happen to us, just as we think the worst thing that could happen to us is death. And there is no death. But hell, as I understood it, is not a place, but it is a state of mind, a state of being. It is what you take with you when you leave this earth, and something that is difficult to be removed from because it is your belief.
You know, about a week ago, a lot of people must have caught it. CNN actually did a little piece that they ran all day long on what hell is and what people think hell is. And most people have the very traditional, you know, hellfire and brimstone, burning up, screaming, screeching hell, a concept of hell. And that really is what most people believe.
You know, Art, it amazes me that anyone could believe that that is where God would send anyone. Because first he would send us down to earth, remove from our memory that he even exists, place us in homes that are terribly dysfunctional. We have to go through life, through all of this corruption that is out there, and then go to hell because we didn't understand or know of him?
I know, but then there are some worse than others, and there are some bad people, Betty, in this world. Now, it may not be, I don't think God sends anybody to hell, but maybe in the end they send themselves.
They certainly do, and many of these people, I was shown so many incredible things that I couldn't even write about them in Embraced or any of my books, because I'll tell you, it's been 26 years since I had the experience.
Well, you know, when you fill out a resume to get a job, you can lie a little bit and BS and write down experience you didn't have and that kind of stuff. Yes. I have this feeling that when you get to that point, to the blackness or the white light or near the white light,
that's right, that
you can't cheat on your resume. In other words,
you can't cheat on your resume. And, you know, once you've experienced the beauty and the love of God as I experienced it, there is nothing compelling here on this earth that would make you want to lie, because you would not want to jeopardize returning where you came from. Now, there is nothing on this earth that appeals to me. I want to go back, and I want to go back where I was, where God took me. I want to go there, maybe even higher if possible. I want to complete my mission here on this earth. It's been my compelling force, my drive. One of the reasons I am here is because he wants his spiritual children to understand his true nature and not to fear him. I was shown all the devastation, the possibilities of the earth and its change and all of its corruption and how we become corrupted. I was shown all of that. But I was told that the most important thing is to not to fear that, because there is no death, and that, yes, you can prepare to live longer on this earth. You know, there's much to do about getting your preparations for all your water and your food, and all of this should be done. But there's a step that's even greater than that, and that is preparing your spirit to meet God. And when you don't have fear of death, nothing is going to harm you, because there is no such thing as death. And this is why he sent me back. I have to tell people about this. I have to let them know that God's true nature is one of love, and not that He is going to separate us and throw us into a fiery pit of hell, but that at any point in our life, we can change what we are doing and redirect our thoughts and our deeds and come closer to Him. And when we do that, we have no need for fear. Spirits are being called by God to awaken to Him now more than ever before. And even before the earth was created, we knew what His plan was. We knew that this would happen. We even counted on it.
Betty, I want to know what you say to all of these neurosurgeons and doctors who have commented on the experience you're now talking about, and they say, oh, listen, it's the brain dying from the outside in. It's a natural process. Death is a natural process and a process unto itself, and that your brain begins to die from the outside in, and people do see that center as they approach it, as the brain cells die, and the brain and the body at this point issue some sort of endorphin or some sort of something or another that is intended to ease the process of death. And so, what do you say to these people?
Yeah, in the early part of Embraced by the Light, when it first went out, I was attacked by many people, including doctors, who made these comments that you are suggesting here.
Yes.
But most doctors now, and I have gone out and I've spoken to groups of doctors, 350, 400 and some odd doctors, nurses.
Yes.
And most doctors who have taken the time to educate themselves on near-death experiences now know that they do happen. It's the doctors that have not furthered their education. But this is what I brought to these 350 doctors. I said, okay, let's say that at the time of my death, that all of this happened, something in the brain is prepared for me to have this experience.
Yes.
Let's say that is true. Now and I'll agree with you if you just listen to the rest of it, is what I told them. Okay, now explain to me then what happened, not only to me, but thousands, millions. I think there's a reported over 8 to 10 million people that have had near-death experiences.
Right.
So I said, explain to me then, what happened when my spirit left my body? I could see clearly in the room. I traveled. I could see clearly. I wasn't foggy. I wasn't blinded. I went into my home. I saw my husband. I saw what my children were doing. Later, I told my husband what he was doing, and he was stunned. He was shocked. And then,
Betty, hold it right. It's a good cliffhanger point. Hold it right there. We'll be right back. It's the top of the hour. She's making a very good point about her husband. Weird story at this hour coming out of Portland, Maine. There is a beach mystery underway in Maine. Millions of tiny, the AP describes them as squishy creatures, washed up onto southern Maine beaches over the Labor Day weekend, and thus far nobody knows what they are. One lifeguard says they look kind of like clear jelly beans. One scientist speculates maybe the hurricane somehow brought them ashore. Weird stuff going on in our environment, to be sure. Betty Eady is my guest, and we were talking about the scientists who absolutely stridently maintain that the sort of thing she experienced in great detail is a chemical combined with a dying brain. But as you pointed out, you saw your husband, you noticed the time, you observed their actions, you later told him, and he verified all that's true. That sure does throw a kink into the old dying brain theory.
Well, it certainly does, Art, but there's even a greater story. One might even say maybe my husband would agree to that and maybe we conjured this up together. In the second book I wrote, in The Awakening Heart, there's a beautiful story that a friend of mine who is a physician who had a near-death experience, he actually died and came back to life 4 days after his death, And he chose to come back during his autopsy because he wanted the physicians that were around his body to see that God could bring you back to life or put you back into your body at any state that he chose. And so this man actually came back after the Y had already been cut, after some of his organs had already been moved, and much to the shock of the doctors that were around his body. All of this is documented, as a matter of fact. And so it's not just my experience, but there are millions of experiencers who share similar stories. And we're beyond it's much like the conversation you were having earlier about UFOs. We are intelligent beings, and I think that we are beyond the point now of denying what we do not understand, and we should be investigating now.
Oh, boy, do I agree.
Absolutely, because these things do exist. When I was taken into heaven, I was shown that God created many, many worlds, that this earth is not the only place that is inhabited. I certainly do believe that there are people that visit our planet. They are far superior in technology than we are. And when we become more aware of this, when we allow ourselves to come out of our cocoons, then we can broaden our understanding. We can even develop our technology much quicker than it is right now.
Well, Betty, it makes sense to me that with all that is there, and on any clear night, go out and confirm it for yourself. Jodie Foster said, if they're not out there, what a waste of space it would be. I mean, we're just a teeny speck of nothing compared to the rest of what is out there that we're already aware of, and there may be more. So, yeah, sure, there's life out there. If there isn't, it just doesn't make sense. And then if there is life, that it could be advanced and visiting us is reasonable to assume.
That is so true. And for those that believe in God, in the higher power, why would they want to limit him? And especially for those who say that this earth is the prison for the people insane. And
I've thought that on days.
I'm sure that many people have. The fact is as they explained to me, that we are all going through a period of growth, and to experience the different worlds is a part of that. And so, yes, is there reincarnation? Yes, but not in the sense that we think it to be, but rather that we experience our life here on this earth, and there are other worlds that we will experience hereafter. Understanding it and looking at it from that point of view is just absolutely mind-boggling.
Are you saying that, okay, there is reincarnation, but you think it's far less than automatic that you come back to Earth?
Yes. Actually, they explained it to me that reincarnation is not as we think it to be, that many people claim that they are, say Cleopatra, and I know years back I had a psychic who told me that I was Mary Queen of Scots. I believed that. I believed it with all my heart because I wanted to believe that I had existed before, and not only that, but there was a part of me that actually experienced the smells of being inside of a castle, and the loneliness, and I could feel this woman about me. When I had my experience, and I actually inquired about a reincarnation, and I was told that cells have memories. Every cell on the human body has memories of everything that has ever existed. And so it would be easy for my cells to recall and experience someone like Mary Queen of Scots. And, just a couple of years back, I remember the First Lady, Clinton's wife. I can't remember her name.
Hillary.
Hillary.
The future senator in New York.
Yes, and she was sitting and having these imaginary visits or something with
Eleanor Roosevelt.
Right. And I understood the process that she was using. And actually, you might say she was sitting down and having a conversation with her own cellular memory, because all of our cells have memories of everything. They just recall. And so where people recall memories of pre-life as this person or that person or the other, it is not that they lived that life. They are just tapping in to what has already existed, even if it is another person's life. This is, our cell memories are passed down genetically.
Well, the evidence for that would be borne out in, I know you know about the lady who had the heart and lungs transplanted onto her from, I believe, an 18-year-old boy or a youngster, and she woke up with cravings for, I think it was beer and pizza, I don't know what it was, what an 18-year-old would want, and then later she, and this is what really blew me away, Betty, she dreamed the donor's name.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
Now,
really
that's cellular memory. That has to be cellular memory.
It is cellular memory.
But what does that say, though, about what our composite is? In other words, most scientists would think that our consciousness, everything we are, is in our brains.
Well, we are electrical beings. We are made up of light energy, and we are electrical. Just as you and I are speaking right now, and over the airwaves comes our voice.
Yes.
Our voices.
Yes.
This is all electronically produced. It is all sent out there magically. And so is our body. And so, you see, we are more in tune than we think we are.
Well, you know, all of that is true, but for the person with the radio out there, once you and I have said what we have said, it rushes past them, they hear it, but they don't encounter it again, unless we replay it. But I mean, under normal circumstances, it may continue on into space forever, as radio signals are said to do.
And they do.
But they don't encounter it again, though.
They lose their power, their energy, and it weakens.
Yes.
And so this is why it goes through. But actually, one of the things, again, that I was taught while I was there, and that is that these electrical waves, our voices, yours and mine right now, travel not only to radio, but it actually, the vibrations of our tones that we produce literally enter in to every person on this earth.
A collective.
Yes. And it is through these tones that they caution me that understanding the tones is very important, because we can raise or lower the vibrations of an individual by the tones in our voice.
What is the present state of the collective, Betty?
Right now, the reason why this earth is going through the tremendous change that it is obviously heading towards is a true indicator of where we are collectively. We are in a very low, very negative vibration. This can be raised. All of this does not need to happen. It absolutely can be changed if we change our level of thought, if we change our level of our deeds, because everything that we do is given a value, an energy. You know, we talk about, and I believe in numerology. I believe in astrology. I believe in all of that. Those are tools. It's just misused sometimes by people. But speaking about numerology, today is 9999.
I know.
And so this is kind of a fearful day for many people, because they have looked forward to this day, and some people with trepidation, with a tremendous amount of fear. And this is why I continue out there with my work, Art, because I want to help people overcome fear. I want to raise the vibrations. I want to dispel fear, because fear and guilt are our heaviest energies. Fear, guilt, and of course shame. And that lowers us, that lowers the self-worth. Everything goes to the lowest energy. For those that must believe in Satan, and Satan does exist as an energy of negativity.
He does.
But, yes. And
as God exists.
As a positive. That's exactly right.
Oh, now, I really haven't heard too many people who've been been through what you've been through say that. Satan exists as an energy.
Yes.
A negative energy.
He opposes the energy of God.
As God exists as a positive energy.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely. God, although God is a being that I experienced, I mean, I literally saw this man as God. Now, you can interpret that any way that you would feel that you had to. Some people might say, well, I had a belief in God prior to my death, and so therefore I saw him as a being, a male figure, because some people believe, of course, God is female. What I saw was a perfectly balanced being. This being had feminine and masculine qualities about him. And but I knew that Satan was also a being, but that his energy would be that of a negative. And because in order for us to experience Earth and all that we would want to create, we would have to have that energy, just like we have to have up and down and north, south, east, and west.
Yes.
We must have the opposing force, just like strengthening a muscle. You must have that opposing force in order to build that muscle. And to have faith, you must have the opposing.
Betty, I've talked to a lot of people on the radio who don't believe in God.
Oh, yes, I know there are.
They just flat don't believe in God.
Right.
Now, what about those?
I don't blame these people. They were probably raised much like I was. I was afraid of God to the point that I wanted to dismiss him from my life.
Well, what I mean is, at that same moment, without the insights or the luck, I guess, to go and come back, a person arriving at that point of darkness, if that's their arrival location indeed at all, who didn't believe in God at all, I guess you can only speculate, but I mean...
I guess I could speculate on that, only in that I experienced it, and I have heard experiences of thousands of people during these 26 years of having had my experience. And I can tell you stories, and these are some of the stories I share in the Ripple Effect, as a matter of fact. These are stories of people that come from different belief systems, different faiths, that had near-death experiences and actually experienced like what I experienced.
Right.
And so what I would like to see more than anything else, I think, on Earth, and that is that people come together and forget about their religious structure, their current religious structure, and start investigating these experiences. Let's find out, let's compare, let's weigh and measure these things and find out what people are truly experiencing. I know that everyone comes from their own perception. That's the only place they can come from.
So you're telling me that of those people that you do know of who have an experience like this, who did not believe in God,
right?
Absolutely,
they met him.
They had the same experience.
Yes, they met him. I actually have met and have letters in the book, The Ripple Effect, from Jewish people, Buddhists, who wrote me letters and shared their experiences with me, and they met Christ. Now, that was quite a shock to them, because this man was not in their experience. Now, Jesus was a part of my experience, a part of my religious background. It would be natural for me to say, call this being Jesus.
Got you. Of course that would be natural, but of the Buddhists, you're telling me they met Christ, not Buddha.
Right. That's true. And yet many people have met Buddha. But more people, I'm just talking about the letters that I have collected, and people that I have met, more of these people have met Christ. I received a phone call from a woman that was terrified, and she says, "My God, Betty, my mother died, and she saw Jesus." And I said, "What a wonderful thing." I mean, I said, "Don't worry about it. I experienced him in my experience." She says, "But you don't understand. My mother's Jewish."
I've got you. All right, hold it right there. Boy, we've got to talk that one over a little bit. I really, really have a hard time with that. Why would that happen? Is the clear implication that the Christian view of Christ and God is the real and only view? Is that it? We'll ask. This is Coast to Coast AM. All right, once again, Betty Eadie. The minority in this world would be Christians. Christians are not the largest number in the world right now, correct?
I really don't know where that stands right now.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think there are more Buddhists and others than there are Christians, but anyway, you got to figure at best 50-50. Half the people in the world don't believe in Christ and God as we know them, or So this has always been something that I have struggled with terribly, Betty, and that is that there are good and bad people of faith and no faith. There are good and bad people of various faiths.
Absolutely.
But what you seem to suggest when you say what you say is that there's only one true path.
No, I don't believe that there is one truth path. As a matter of fact, I was told that there wasn't.
Oh.
So this was what, again, was something that I had to rethink as far as my religious background, which was in my early youth, was Catholicism, and the Protestant, of course, and so it was very difficult for me. This wasn't an easy experience at all, and then to come out with Embraced by the Light. Of course, I know that it crosses many paths. Many lives that do not believe in God, but I have to share the experience as I experienced it.
That's right.
And otherwise I would be lying.
Right.
And so this is why I'm greatly interested in research being done in this area. Great research, not what we're doing now, but I mean unbiased, so that we can get to the root of all of this. But I'm just merely sharing the truths as I see them, and from people that have experienced near-death experiences, even children who have not been taught of God.
Especially children.
They come back talking about Jesus.
I know.
They also come back talking about someone by the name of Elizabeth. I think it's important for us to search these things out and to explain them somehow, or at least I have a great interest in it because I experienced it. But I know that I experienced Jesus, and to say that he is anyone else but Jesus would be a lie.
Gotcha. No, you can only tell us what happened to you, and I wouldn't want you to tell us anything else.
Exactly. You wouldn't want me to try to make this generic to fit all religions.
Nope. Just what happened to you. Here's somebody who asked a pretty interesting question. It is as follows. You said you went to the best place you'd ever been.
Yes, to that point,
And particularly since you had gone to your husband and your children and you knew that you didn't have to be there anymore. You were comfortable with that.
I was very comfortable with leaving them.
Then the obvious question is, if you loved it so much there, what are you doing back?
I didn't want to come back. I can tell you that.
You didn't want to come back?
Not at all, Art. I did not want to come back here, and I have received a lot of criticism for having written this in Embrace because I told it as I experienced it, and I literally threw myself down in the presence of Jesus and told him that under no circumstances was I going to go back to Earth, that I was finished with Earth, I was through, and that nothing that he could say or do was going to make me go back.
Wow.
I know that
you were there with an attitude, huh?
I had an attitude. I really did, and I'm being honest about that. I'm not that big of a person, but I'll tell you, when you're raised in the Indian boarding schools, you learn how to fight. You come up with your own thoughts, your own mind, and I was not going to be sent back to earth, even if Jesus had told me I had to. And I know, and people say that's blasphemous. I don't care what they call it. That is what I did.
No, all I want is what actually happened, and it's pretty amazing.
Yes, it was amazing. I look back on it, and I'll tell you, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed by it because, that was pretty gutsy.
That definitely was.
But what was amazing...
It's like having a burning bush go next to you.
Oh, absolutely. I expected the burning bush and the full wrath of God to land upon me, but I'll tell you, I could not come back. Not after experiencing that tremendous love. I couldn't. My spirit, my soul just cried out for something else, and I just could not come back.
Well, apparently we don't always get what we want.
No, and what happened next amazed me as well. And that was that Jesus, who I knew to be Jesus, laughed.
Laughed?
Laughed. A very humorous laugh.
Oh, really?
Yes. And he said, let us show you what your mission is. And then after that, if you make the decision. And I knew that nothing he could tell me, nothing he could show me would ever convince me.
All right.
And so I agreed to that. I said, okay, I agree to that.
Okay, take your best shot.
Yes, give it your best shot. And he said, I will show you, but after it is shown to you, he said, it will be removed from your consciousness because you cannot take it back with you. And I agreed to that. Well, I have to say, I do not know what my mission is. But I know that whatever it was, I agreed to do it because
So
I'm
you
here.
did, in fact, forget.
Yes, it was taken from me. It was taken. And I was told, though, that I would be writing a book. Now, you're talking about an Indian woman who never got past the 6th grade. And to write a book, much less to come back with this information and to share it with the world. I mean, after I came back, I went into deep depression. I told my husband about this, and I told him what I was told that I had to do, at least that portion of it. That was not the completed mission, but I knew that this was what I had to do. And I went to school, went back. I started studying. I took classes at the community college. I did whatever I could.
Do you remember reviving? Do you remember going back to your body? Do you remember any of that?
Yes, I do. I absolutely do. After they showed me everything in heaven that they wanted me to see.
Yes.
Then I was told that I needed to return, and I came back, and I remember entering my body, which was the most horrible thing that ever happened to me. It was my body was stiff, it was cold, it was clay-like, it was thick, embraced by the light. I said it was like crawling into some dirty coveralls, muddy, dirty coveralls. My spirit was absolutely repelled by the body. I felt free before, as a spirit I was free. I felt loved. I felt joy. I felt everything that was wonderful. And then to come back into this body was horrid.
Well, then here's a good straight-on question for you. When I heard you when you began the interview, I had the sense that you almost wish you could die.
I have really resisted that thought because I know that it goes against God's will.
But I'm asking you to be bluntly honest, and that's what I heard in your voice.
Okay, you want me to be bluntly honest with you, Art?
That's right.
I am not afraid of anything, and the reason I do not fear death is because it would be joyous to me should that happen. I have been reluctant to talk about that too much because my family does not like to hear it.
Well, that was going to, of course, be my next question. Your family would be very concerned, I would think, if you expressed that view to them.
Well, they're not just to them. They asked me not to say it when I'm on tour because they said there are freaks out there.
Yeah, there are.
And someone might say, Betty, you want to go back to heaven? All right, I'll send you there.
Yeah, there's always that, I suppose.
Yes,
but I mean, there really is that urge, huh?
There's not an urge to take my life.
No.
Because to me, that's throwing God's gift back in His face.
That's something we should probably talk about separately. But I mean, assuming that God said, would you want to come home right now? I would say yes, because I made them promise. I made Jesus promise that the moment my mission is complete, that I would come back home to Him. And He promised me. Now, I believe in God because I saw Him. And I know that God would never lie. There's nothing but truth in Him. And so the minute my mission is complete, or the minute that any one of our missions are complete, because each one of us, when we were in heaven, or back home, I like to refer to it as, when we were back home with Him, we came here because He chose us to, and because we agreed to, we wanted to, and we each came with a purpose in mind. For example, an infant's mission,
yes,
who was thrown into a Dipsy dumpster and found dead inside a trash can.
Right.
That infant's mission could be that.
Exactly. And I know that goes against any normal thought that we could possibly or would possibly have. But you see, every action, every deed, everything that is permitted and allowed by God is for our growth. Rather, whether it is individual growth or collectively as a society. When we see this horror happening, then it is up to each one of us to make a change. And this is why we vote for the right people. This is why we set standards. We are all responsible for every corruptible thing here on this earth.
Well, Betty, that bears a little conversation. If you look around us now, our social behavior, our wars, our killing, by the way, usually in the name of God or some God.
Yes.
Our environmental degradation, what we're doing to the planet, and the course we're on right now. While I understand that it's a good thing to preach love, because I, too, believe that's what it's all about. I really do.
It is.
A pragmatic assessment of our present circumstances would not lead me to believe that good things lie directly ahead.
Right. You're absolutely right on. That's how it is. And but I'll tell you, I was shown something else, Art, that encourages me. And that is that at this moment of time, right now, we are in this stage of awakening. God has already called many people to come forward in this crusade, if you will. As though these people are warring angels upon this earth. Mm-hmm. Many of these people that are warring angels are not men, but they are women. And he told me that these women are women of wisdom. They're not coming forward in a movement of women as has been done in the past. But these are women that are going to step forward and say, no more. This will not happen to my children anymore. I want the laws to be changed. I don't know how involved you are with what's going on with the young people these days, but I have grandchildren and children who are afraid to correct, much less punish them for their deeds. These are kids that are becoming very undisciplined.
Oh, yes.
And not only in their thought, but in their behavior. It's very embarrassing to be out and to see people with their children misbehaving, and those children or parents begin to panic because the law can literally take their children away from them and punish them, throw them in jail if they even correct that child with a SWAT. Mm-hmm. This is how we have torn apart our families have become torn apart.
Well, that's what I meant by our social behavior.
Yes. It has declined. There is this chance, because I was shown it. I literally saw it, that we can make a change and that this change is about to happen. And I'll tell you, we can do this through the power of our prayer, prayers were also shown to me as being the most powerful spoken word upon this earth. Everything that we speak with our mouth, we create. Everything, even our curse words. Illnesses are produced by the words that we use. Mm-hmm. We can change the energy on this planet by watching our words and by using positive things, words and emotions and doing deeds. This can happen. It doesn't have to end the way I see that it could also go if we do not make these changes.
What were the possibilities you were shown?
Well, of course, you're not going to hear too much new from me. I think just about everyone speaks of this, and that is the tremendous weather changes. That was shown to me. The earthquakes. In fact, I live in an area. I actually saw all that could happen in this ring of fire that we have with the volcanic eruptions that are all not only possibilities, but of course they are predicted to happen. I saw the mountains, and that the mountains, tall mountains, literally laid down and became one with the valleys. And of course, when the mountains lay down, other parts of the earth have to raise up. Mm-hmm. And so no one, people can say that they want to go to this state or that state to get away from anything, all the disasters. It's an impossibility, because where something happens on one side of the world, something else is going to happen on another side.
Earth changes, and there would be no escape.
There is no escape from it. But except for that, we can make a difference in changing this world by literally changing our minds about it. Mm-hmm. But there will be, and I was shown massive panic. I was shown darkness that would come upon the earth. All the things that you have heard probably for eons about the earth, I was shown that was a possibility. We have produced this negativity. It's a negative energy. And it's brought to the point of destruction, total destruction.
Betty, I interviewed some Hopi elders.
Oh, yes.
And what they told me was that, number one, they had no interest in coming on the air, really didn't want to come on the air, but came on the air because what they knew was coming, they said, has now begun.
Yes,
it's already begun. In other words, this is not something we're forecasting. We're here tonight, they said, to tell you it has begun.
We're here.
Now, even they did not say it could not be stopped or altered or mitigated in some way, but they said it's upon us now.
Right.
That was the message. There's no more time. It's now.
Right.
And
I was shown that, too. I actually was. And except for that, we can make a change, and I was shown that God does not destroy what He has created and thought was good, which was the earth. He created it, and He called it good. He will cleanse it, purify it. That will happen.
Same word they used, actually, purification.
Yeah. Oh, is that right?
Yeah, purify.
Okay, they will purify it. It has to go through the cleansing. It has to go through the purification. And that is going to happen. That purification and cleansing can come in two ways. Number one, it can come by the fire and destruction of the volcanoes. It can come by the cleansing of the floods. It can come by the purification of the blowing winds. It can come in all of those ways. Or it can come by our change of attitude and that if we raise our vibrations. And this can all happen through the power of prayer. And because prayer, again, going back to the spoken word being the most powerful thing on this earth, besides love.
Is the power of prayer, in your opinion,
mm-hmm.
an actual response from God or an effect on the collective itself?
The power of prayer is actually something that, in the Bible it says, go into your closets to pray.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And some people have literally thought, and I've taken polls on this during my speaking engagements, and found that some people literally go into their closets to pray. They take it literally.
Well, I understand that prayer is most effective when your mind is quiet, so it just may be a place you go where it's quiet. Betty, hold on. We're at a break here, so we'll pick this up on the other side. How about the rest of you? The power of prayer. Answered by God or simply inserted into the collective unconscious? We'll be back. All right, back now to Betty Eady. Welcome back, Betty.
Thank you.
So many people want to talk to you. I'm getting also a lot of faxes, Betty. Please, for example, ask Betty about the creatures that came alongside her hospital bed after she returned from heaven. Who or what were they, and where did they come from, and what are they used for?
When I came back to my hospital bed after the experience, 5 demons came into the room. I could see them very clearly. And as they were approaching me, a dome of light came down over my entire body, protecting me from them. I can, even as I'm telling you now about this, Art, I could close my eyes and visualize those creatures because they were so frightening looking. And they crawled on this dome of light, scratching, growling, carrying on in a very vicious way. As that was happening to me, the 3 guardian angels that were there with me told me that I was shown this because I needed to know that I would be protected here upon this earth, and that Satan was very angry that I came back, and that he had sent these demons to destroy me. But that would not happen. I've reflected on this time and time and time again.
I bet you have.
And I thank God every day that I have this dome of protection, because as I've thought about the experience, as I have tried to glean every ounce of knowledge from it, I can only imagine these demons then as being demons of my own creation, because I know that each one of us, we have things that we allow in our space. We allow things that bring us down, pull us down, that tear at us, beat at us.
Yes.
They are our creations because they don't exist. They are an illusion, actually, because they don't really exist except in our minds. We allow them there. We place them there. And I've thought of this as well, there simply are negative energies upon this earth. And we talk about the bad people, the more than bad people, the absolutely evil people that exist upon this earth.
Oh, yes.
Energy of like energy attracts. And so if you are an evil person, say, and because of the energy, and people, you've probably heard people talk about auras, and some people don't like to hear the word because they tag you as New Age, and so that shuts all the doors of their expanded knowledge. And so I prefer to call it energy field, or you can simply call it, if you don't even like that, call it presence. It doesn't matter. It exists. That energy field around each one of us attracts like energy. And so if you are a loving person, you attract love. If you are a hateful person, you actually attract that energy to you. Evil people attract evil things to them. Mm-hmm. Anything that is done upon this earth that is of an evil nature leaves an energy. This is how we get haunted houses. This is why there are chills that run up and down people's spine when they go by some place that someone was killed horrendously. That energy is still left there. It is there. It's like a blueprint.
Well, I was going to ask, my question would be, is that some kind of echo of what happened?
Yes.
As opposed to some poor soul actually trapped on Earth? That's always the big question with ghosts.
Yes, it can actually be both, because that energy is there. There are some people who are trapped here, only in that they are so locked to the earth that their energy of their earthly self draws them and keeps them here. It kind of goes, you might even say, like people that are dying, and they have a room full of loved ones, and the loved ones, because of their love for the person dying, they literally hold them to their mortal self. As soon as the loved ones decide to take a break and go out for dinner or coffee break or whatever they're doing, that loved one dies. And then those coming back have this horrendous guilt because they left the room. And they wonder why that loved one left while they were gone. It's because they were drawn to stay. And this happens. But this other energy is what could is you could attach Satan to, because these can take on this negative energy can take on life form.
All right.
It's very deep.
Yeah, I've never heard that story before.
Yes, it does. It takes on an energy of its own, and it's usually the energy that people give it.
All right. All right. Very quickly, Wildcard Line, you're on the air with Betty Edie. Hi.
Hi, this is Connie from the San Joaquin Valley.
Connie, you're going to have to yell at us.
I'm sorry, this is Connie from the San Joaquin Valley.
Right.
Betty, I read your book many years ago, and it really did impress me. There was something that you said earlier, though, that we were spirits that came from God, and that we're here to get our spirits ready to go back to meet Him. And I was curious, if we were a spirit with God, why do we have to get our spirit ready again to go back to meet Him once we already knew Him?
I think, yes, I probably said something similar to that. And what I mean by that is that we are spirits that came here to develop and by expressing our love for one another. Mm-hmm. And right now, as the earth is going through all of its change, the most important thing to me for each one of us to do, if we are not going to make this earthly change, the total change, the energy of the world change by our collective interest in raising our moral standards and all of our other standards as high as we possibly can get them, then we must prepare our souls to meet God, because that is, of course, going to happen. And I would prefer to be spiritually ready to go back home where I originated, where you originated, than I would to spend all of my time preparing physically to die or to remain here on earth. You see what I'm saying?
I think I understand.
Okay, it's more important to me to be ready for spiritually than it is to be ready physically for anything.
You know, Betty, there's a scripture in the Bible that's, and I believe it was Jesus Himself that said it, that all spirit goes back to the Father who gave it.
Yes,
a lot of people don't realize that are Christians, but that has always been a scripture that really has made me stop and question a lot of things.
That's right.
Especially about salvation.
That's right. That's given in another place, incidentally, and that is that the good shepherd would leave the 99 sheep and go for the one lost sheep. It states very clearly that God, anyone that thinks that God, who is a mighty, powerful being, is going to lose one of His creation to Satan, just simply don't understand who God is.
But again, it circles back to our argument about, not exactly an argument, but a discussion about people who will, in fact, judge themselves. Now, there may not be a Satan as such, or his operative area may be down here on earth. I don't know. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. I know there's evil here.
Yes, there is evil.
So while you may return to the source,
it may take a while. It may take a while for you to have that dark veil removed from your own mind, your own eyes.
East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Betty Edie. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
Am I loud enough for you?
Yes, you are. You're doing
Good.
fine. Where are you?
Hickville, Texas.
Okay.
Hi.
Go right ahead.
Your book is I've only read your first one, but it was so comfortable and clear.
Thank you.
And I appreciated that very much. I haven't been as far as you have. I've been in the tunnel where that wonderful feeling is, that you were describing, the loving.
Oh, yes, all the love.
Okay. I didn't get as far as you did, so I got that far, and then I had to come back, and I'm going, wait a minute. I do not want to come, I really didn't want to come back. And
No, you don't.
I'm trying to figure out, okay, what am I supposed to do now? It's been a long time since that happened, and I still haven't figured out what I'm supposed to do in the meantime while I'm waiting.
But it's interesting that you know that you're supposed to do something.
Well, I wish I knew what.
Yes.
Really,
and
that's bugging me to death.
And most people that have this, even the experience that you just had, once you enter that love, you know that there is something, a mission that you are to perform. The interesting part about this is that God doesn't necessarily let us know what it is, because just existing upon this earth and continuing to be guided by the Spirit, if you want to call it that, you will be directed to perform your mission.
Oh, that's a relief.
Yes, and so quit worrying about it. Just live the very best life that you can, and He will direct you right to it.
And how does He want us to talk with Him while we're down here?
Just like you're talking to me.
So much easier up there.
Just like you're talking to me.
Oh, cool.
You don't have to have a formal prayer. It can be just in your heart. Many people have just cried out to God, like, oh, God, help me, in moments of terror, and He has been there. All you need is a desire to have Him by your side and His will to be done, and it will be done.
Oh, it's that easy.
It's very easy. We make it complex. We make it very complex.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks for letting her go this far.
You bet.
With us.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Sure. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Betty Edie. Hi.
Hi. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hi, I love your show.
Thank you.
I have a quick comment and a question for her. Betty said, some people said they saw Elizabeth. Elizabeth happened to be Jesus Christ's grandmother, Mary's mother. And as far as believing in Jesus Christ, over 50% of people on earth believe in Him, because 1.5 billion of Muslims believe in Him.
That's wonderful.
You see, a lot of Christians don't know this.
No, they don't. I didn't know.
Yeah, we believe that He is the Messiah. We believe that He is the Word of God. We believe in His miraculous birth. We believe in Virgin Mary. But nobody knows this.
But how did you learn about Elizabeth? I mean, that fascinates me.
Because it's in the Holy Quran, and I was going to suggest you to read the Holy Quran, and whatever you saw up there is in the Quran.
Is that right?
Yes, it says the Lord of the worlds. The world that God talks about, which we call Him Allah, He talks about all the worlds other than Earth. And the message that He brought on this earth was gone to those planets too. The planet that there are beings in it, not the lifeless planet that we see up here.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes, please. And the concept of hell and heaven is like the Christian. We believe in heaven and hell. And whoever have a good deeds and believe in oneness of God will go to heaven. And whoever is evil will be an intimate of the we call it Satan, which is the same thing. Now, my question is, please, has any Muslims called you and asked you or told you that they had the same dream or NDE, near-death experience?
Oh, yes.
Oh, really?
Yes, they have.
Oh.
Absolutely. I have heard from just about every faith, including yoga, which I practice yoga in that I use it to keep my weight down as an exercise, but I never knew it to be a religion. And so I was quite surprised when I started to receive all these books and I learned that was a religion. So I've heard from just about every belief. I don't know what everyone believes, just as I didn't know that, you included Christ.
Oh, yes.
I have just learned, actually, that the Native Americans, and I learned this from some of the Native Canadians, that their legends include Christ.
Oh.
And so there's a lot more about Christ than what we know.
Oh, yes. You see, it's an article of faith to believe in all the messengers, including Jesus Christ.
Right.
Otherwise, you're not a Muslim. By the way, Muslim means submission to God. Submit your will to will of God.
That's beautiful.
For example, in the morning when we wake up, we thank God for giving that spirit back to us, that we get up and we thank Him for where we are and what we are.
All right. We appreciate it, sir. And again, I had one of the originators of the entire remote viewing program for the United States CIA on the air last night, Betty.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that one of the requirements for doing what he does is the complete sublimation of the ego. Translate, will, whatever.
Right.
The ego. In other words, you've got to totally let go of that.
So difficult.
That was exactly what I said to him, as a matter of fact.
Well,
easy to talk about, hard to do.
We live in the ego. This is what gets us up in the morning and keeps us going. But yes, I do understand what he's talking about.
All right. First time caller line, you're on the air with Betty Eady. Hi.
Hi there. This is Walter from West Virginia.
Yes, sir.
Question here. I'm a non-believer. Totally, doesn't exist for me.
God does not exist.
No, sir.
You're an atheist.
I'm an order and chaos man.
All right.
You can take that for what it's worth. Question. Hypothetically, say an alien race lands on the planet.
Yes.
And comes down. First question, as in contact, would probably be, do you believe in God, and what is your concept of God? What if their answer was, oh, yes, your local deity. Everybody has one.
Well, then I imagine that would be interpreted in many ways by many people. In other words, many would consider it to be an absolute confirmation of the existence of a central creative force. Others would say, oh, my God, everything I believed is wrong. So you'd get what you said you were, sir, order and chaos.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, my wife has one comment for you about your book.
Mm-hmm.
She liked Betty's book. On your book, Art, The Art of Talk,
yes,
she thinks you need another or dust cover. She says the picture on the front makes you look like Stephen King.
You know, a lot of people have said that to me, that I look like Stephen King. Do I really?
Yes, sir.
Well, I can't help it. It's me. Thank you very much. I guess there's worse things to have happen to you. Wildcard line, you're on the air with Betty Eady. Hello.
KQMS, Redding, California.
Well, hello there.
Hi.
Should I tell Betty who you are? And why we call you 10?
Do you have enough time?
Yeah.
I guess.
This young lady, one night, Betty, you'll be an interesting person to actually run this by.
Okay.
One night, years ago, this young lady called me from, she lives in Redding, California, near the Redding Ripple, what I call the Redding Ripple. Interesting, considering your book title. And I was running a survey that I thought never had been done in the history of radio before, and I really don't think it has. And I was asking people, of the 10 commandments, how many have you broken? And it was a very fascinating show, actually, because I don't think anybody ever really asked that question before. But there were a very few, of which this young lady was one, who said all 10. And ever since that time, I have called her affectionately 10. So she has transgressed every single last commandment.
Wow.
So, 10, what's your question?
My question is, do you think witches will go to heaven?
I think that everyone will go to heaven. Now, I was shown that there are various degrees of knowledge or understanding and of love there. In other words, whatever level that we have obtained here on earth, we will acquire there. And we will continue, just sort of like going to college where you graduate from one force and you go on to another. So there are many levels.
Betty, hold on a moment. And hey there, witchy woman.
Yeah?
Can you hang on through the break? Because really,
Yes, I can.
That's an extremely interesting question that you have asked.
I'll hold.
I think. All right, good. You stay right where you are, and I will try and bring up, here it is, what I had in mind to sort of move out of this half hour with. I'm Art Bell. My guest is Betty Eadie, and her latest book is The Ripple Effect. You should go pick it up and read it. And once again, going into the final segment, here is Betty Eadie. How are you holding up, Betty?
Actually, I'm doing quite well, thank you.
All right, well, it's getting late.
Uh-huh.
First-time caller line, you're on the air with Betty Eadie. Good morning.
Morning, this is Ben in El Paso.
El Paso, Texas. Yes, sir.
Right, interesting show. Miss Edie, this is a question, I don't know how to phrase it. I've been thinking about it all night, trying to get in.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the same way you do as far as spirituality. Do you think that there are people here that have not experienced near-death experiences who are still capable to be in touch with a Supreme Being?
Oh, absolutely. You don't have to have a near-death experience to experience God. I mean, you can simply have a spiritual experience, or I don't know how many people know this, but at nighttime when we sleep, this is when our spirit is in contact with God. And during the night hours, when we have dreams, and it's always good to keep a dream book because our connections are there, and often we are shown things, given premonitions. Sometimes we are just shown things symbolically so that we can get in touch with what's happening to our life. You don't have to study this in order to progress in life, though, because your subconscious mind holds this, and it also, your spirit using that redirects your path.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You know, these things are very important, and when I talk about preparing the spirit, I certainly would emphasize also that we do need to prepare for these times.
Yes, we do.
And this food that you're talking about, I actually know that it is very good. So
do I.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And believe me, I do have my supply.
That's good, and that's interesting to hear from somebody who emphasizes spiritual aspects so much, which I know you do. Mm-hmm. You don't ignore the other.
Well, I look at it this way, Art, prepare to live and prepare to die. Because if you live on this earth, you may have to aid other people. Not all people are going to have their food. I cannot imagine living in my neighborhood and knowing that my neighbors are not prepared and not have enough for them too. And so I always store extra, just in case. That my house has to be a place of refuge.
An interesting question for you, Betty, and you need not answer this, but I've asked it of people like Gary North and others. And it is, you have saved some extra food for others, which is fine, but at some point, were that to be gone, and the others kept coming, and it came down to the supplies for your family or the people who were knocking on the door, what would you do?
And you know what? I try not to go to this conversation because I was actually shown a couple of different ways that this could go. One way is horror, and the other way is the way that I hope that this goes. What I was shown, I actually saw large white trucks that were coming to homes and picking up the food and taking them to places like schools and churches, and they were keeping the food there for people in that neighborhood. The other that I saw was actually people killing for the food. And so it's my prayer that we use this other method. I guess each one of our homes have to store and stock water and food because we don't know what streets are going to be totally destroyed.
That's right.
In and out or whatever. And being here in Seattle, I-5 is just about and 90 are the only two main roads. food would be very difficult to bring to Seattle area.
Yeah, any trucker out there, and there's a million of them right now, could tell you if the trucking stopped, virtually the food would stop.
Exactly. So these each home is actually a storehouse for food, and I think that collecting it and taking it to a place and dividing it up amongst the people there is the best idea. The other way is chaos and murder, and I wouldn't want to see that. I would give my food up, to tell you quite honestly.
All right, that's a good answer. Wildcard line, you're on the air with Betty Edie. Good morning.
Good morning, Art. I've got a couple of things. I wrote you an email just a minute ago. I was like, well, I'd like him to read it, but he'll probably never see it. So I was really surprised.
I will see it. I will see it, sir.
But I think this is something that you that I should bring up because
go ahead.
It's an interesting point, and I do have two other quick questions after that.
All right.
This is what I wrote. I'm calling from Atlanta.
Yes, sir.
I said, hey, Art, I think that I have the answer or the solution to change the world. It's only the choice of everyone. This is only one way that the world as a whole, they can change. It has to be everyone's choice. Everyone has to encounter an event that will take effect the way that we feel about each other as a whole. And this event can be something which will scare the world. And Y2K could be a very good example. But there are different ways that this can happen. One is if a force or something that is out of this world were to encounter us nationwide, and you know where I'm going with this. Let's say if we were invaded by something or someone else, this would put a major impact on the world where we would have to come together and forget like everything about our problems, our differences, because we would be confused.
I know. We'd just be transferring, though, our aggression from against each other to a common defense to kill the little green guys coming in.
Well, I'm not saying
Ronald Reagan made some very interesting comments about that.
Yeah, well,
how it would be unifying. Why, if they came down, it would be unifying. We'd have to have a common defense.
I think that's true. But
I'm not sure that's the kind of spiritual growth Betty's talking about.
Right. Well, I'm not necessarily saying. I'm just using this as an example. I'm not necessarily saying that we would have to fight against something. I mean, it wouldn't have to be destruction. It just would be something that have to be something we couldn't explain that would make everybody be curious.
I understand.
And then forget everything else.
Right.
But I had a story I wanted to tell Betty real quick. And I believe everything. I've been listening tonight, and I believe everything she's been saying. I've never had one of these near-death experiences. But I've always believed very similar things that she's been talking about, and I don't know why. It's just a natural thing for me. But my mom had cancer. She got cancer back in November of last year, and it was really hard for me to take because I live away from my family. I moved away. I live at least 600 or so miles away, and I was very close to my mom, but she told me that she totally knew she could get through it and she had faith. And she just told me that if you have a positive outlook on things and if you believe that you can defeat anything that you want. And she prayed and prayed and prayed. And I tell you, she had this cancer that was probably one of the worst kinds, and she went through some of the hardest and harshest treatments. And not one time during this whole time did she suffer. Did she ever get sick? Did she ever feel bad? She might have felt tired or something, but people couldn't understand this. And less than 6 months, I would say it was less than 6 months, it is 100% gone.
All right, well, what you have just said is not as unusual as you think it is. The power of our mind or the power of prayer, depending on how you want to look at this, can in fact do things that are utterly inexplicable. The doctors, the scientists, they shake their heads and they don't understand. There's a lot of that, isn't there, Betty?
Absolutely. In fact, there's one doctor that goes about, he wrote a book about the power of of that type of thing, the power of the mind or the power of prayer, as you just said. And what that equals, they found out, they experimented, and they found this group of doctors, and they found that what the prayer was love.
One thing on the doubtful side of this would be that in excess of 50% of ills that are complained about by people are capable of being cured with placebos.
Right.
So I'm not sure where that leaves us exactly. But
well, that takes them to their belief. If they believe the pill's going to work, it will work.
It works.
It works. So it comes down to your belief system.
Mm-hmm.
But not to leave people feeling bad, those that have cancer that are not going to be cured. Because many people say, I have faith in God, I believe, I pray, I do all these wonderful things, and still my body is being destroyed by this disease.
That's right.
That is absolutely something that I think that all of us have to come to accept, and that is that we are all born terminal. We will all die. I had a woman call me and say she had 6 months to live because the doctors had diagnosed her with cancer, and they said 6 months.
Right.
And I said, well, I don't know that I have that long. I could walk out into the
That's always my answer, too.
Right.
People, in a way, are blessed with that time,
right.
as opposed to those of us who walk in front of Mack trucks, and that's it, right?
You bet. And so you have to go back to just live now. I mean, this is all we really have is right now. And before we came here to this earth anyway, we chose the time that we would be here. We knew that we would be here for a certain length of time. And we also, and I know this is going to sound absolutely astounding, but we also chose the way that we would leave, or our possible way of leaving. And often these ways of leaving is through illness. And that illness can be a tremendous blessing or a lesson to those that we are leaving, and even through the very last moments. And this is why I do not believe in Javorkian's method of exiting people, because that is almost like suicide. It's taking your life before its natural time. And so we endure to the end.
Yes, my wife has preached to me endlessly about this. I used to have the view that if I were in the end stages of a fatal disease that was racking me with pain, that I could take my life. I could understand the rationale of that.
Right.
Why live out these last days, weeks, months, whatever it's going to be, of intense, horrible, twitching pain? And my wife has always said, oh, no. You play out the hand you're dealt. That's what you're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
You agree with that?
Absolutely, I do. I have been at the bedside of many, many people who were dying. They were there with their relatives. And sometimes, even almost to the last breath, that person dying will say something that will profoundly change a member's of the family's life. And maybe it's just to say, I love you, or forgive me. You just have to endure everything to the very end.
I've come to believe that. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Betty Eady. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
My name's Dan. I'm from Milwaukee.
Hi, Dan.
And I agree with everything Betty was saying. I know several years ago I came upon the realization that any of the things that people thought they were imagining might have their mind controlling it, and that I thought that I might have lived somewhere else before, but then I suddenly realized when I found out more information, my grandfather had lived back in that area at one time, and I thought, gee, maybe that's what happened. Maybe I inherited some of his memory or feeling or somehow. Like he had a mule kick him in the back when he was in the service. He was in the Civil War, and he took care of mules. And my lower back is filled with arthritis. And I'm a truck driver, so I run all over the road, and of course that doesn't help my back, but that's okay. And
but it probably feels like a mule kicked you.
Oh, sure it does. At times it does, and at times it doesn't.
You see, what you're saying is so absolutely true. And if you were to check your your family tree, if you could even get some records, you will find that your signature is going to perfectly match with someone in your past, or your great-grandfather or great-grandmother, or someone. You are going to perfectly match.
Well, no, that's very interesting.
Oh, yes, it is. I've done this. And so we do carry around cell memories of our relatives.
Sure.
And so this is very powerful. And an important thing for people that are where horrible things have happened to them, like women who have been raped as young children, they carry this pain within them. This is passed on and on and on. But those who understand cellular memory, you can stop that by not passing it on within your cells, by actually doing the visualization and taking that and cleansing it from your body. It's a very interesting process, but it can be done.
Now, would you have to do that through a psychiatrist or someone like that?
Oh, no, not at all. It's just your mind.
Just our mind, because we control it all by ourselves.
You bet. Absolutely. And this is going to be a very powerful method that will be used in the future to heal, because we won't necessarily have everything that we have right now these days should all of this devastation happen.
Yeah, we may be looking at a very different world.
We're going to look at a whole new world.
We sure have raced through this program. You have done a wonderful job, Betty.
Well, it's been wonderful being here with you, Art. Let me tell you.
The Ripple Effect is your latest book. Will be available shortly in bookstores.
On the 27th this month.
On the 27th. In the meantime, people can probably Can they go to Amazon.com and order it?
They can order it at Amazon.com. Actually, Amazon can give them a 30% discount.
That's what I've heard.
Or, yes, they can. Or they can go to my website. And because we cannot give that 30%, obvious reason, I'm self-publishing, and it's cost a tremendous amount of money.
Oh, yes.
But what I offer them instead is, I don't know, one of those book plates with my autograph on it.
Oh.
But I would really prefer, if they wanted the book, to go to Amazon. I love Amazon because they do give the discounts.
I know. I wonder what's going to happen to bookstores, don't you?
Well, it's going to ruin them. And I think it's going to hurt the publishers, too, because there's no way you can give that kind of a discount.
The only thing sure is change, and taxes and death. And
absolutely.
Stuff. All right, Betty, thank you so much.
Oh, and thank you, Art. It's been my pleasure.
Good night.
Good night now. That's
Betty Eady, folks. Tomorrow night, Gordon Cooper is going to be here, the astronauts. Gordon Cooper. It'll be the first time he's ever been on this program, and I think you'll find it, to say the least, very, very informative. Well, that's it for tonight. I'm Art Bell from the high desert. Night all. And they've got the eye on the shore radar, and it is awesome. My God, that's a big eye. The feeder bands are beginning to pound northeast Florida pretty hard right now, and it is moving northwest. The latest information on Hurricane Floyd is it is 125 miles now, very much closer to the Cape. 125 miles actually east-southeast of Cape Canaveral, moving northwest at 13, pressure at 935 millibars, and thus far no weakening in the storm. I see Titusville, Daytona Beach, down to Vero Beach and Fort Pierce are feeling the feeder waves of this hurricane. It is a monster. 2.6 million people are being evacuated, the largest evacuation in U.S. history. Where's it coming ashore? Perhaps Wilmington. Their best guess right now. Wilmington, North Carolina. But that changes with just about every report, but I see them circling Wilmington right now as the most likely area. We'll see. We're talking about the storm, and we're into open lines. Anything you want to talk about is fair game. I was off of Titusville, Florida, recording 45-foot storm surges. Holy moly. Wonder if that's true. 45-foot storm, holy smokes. And he asks, question, what happens to anyone caught in their cars on these jammed highways? Well, if they've made it far enough west, hopefully all they have to do is sit it out. But again, I would say to those of you getting ready to go, you're going to encounter jammed highways, number one. Number two, gas may be difficult. Number three, I would take whatever supplies you're able to cram in. You know, if you've got sleeping bags, camping equipment, something to eat, you know, all that sort of thing, you'd want to get that in the car if possible, if you are evacuating, if you're trying to get out of the way of this monster. We are in open lines, and we will stay that way. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing.
This is Ryan from Michigan.
Hi, Ryan.
I just wanted to point out something. You can you probably know about webcams, right?
I'm on a webcam now.
Oh yeah, they're a lot of fun.
I've got actually 3 cameras that go in sequence.
Oh yeah.
And I also have streaming video, so.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
What they got is they got webcams all over the world now.
Oh, I know.
So I thought it'd be kind of interesting if you got like tomorrow morning.
I mean, you can watch the crowds going to work in downtown Stockholm if you want to.
Oh yeah. Well, when I get home in the morning, I'll tell you what I'm going to do is get on the webcams and see if I can get something in Georgia or Florida.
Yeah, well,
assuming the power is still on.
You know, webcam's all right, but you know right now that CNN is waiting to see exactly where the storm is going to come in, and they're going to send their guy right to where the eye is going to go. I asked, and I'm waiting to see if they're going to email me. Anybody at CNN or the Weather Channel, I would really like to know how you guys pick out who you're going to send down to stand in the eye.
It sounds like it'd be a lot of fun, you know, for me anyways.
So in other words, if you were a CNN employee, you'd raise your hand and you'd volunteer. Send me.
Oh yeah.
Really? Yeah, I'm the same kind of idiot. I would too.
Well, didn't you chase storms for a long time?
Yeah, I did. I chased tornadoes.
Oh yeah. I like storms, really.
And so who am I to call anybody an idiot? In fact, Lynn Whitlake and I chased tornadoes in a Volkswagen. That's really stupid.
Fun, all right. It's got to be fun.
Well, it was fun, and we lived through it. But when you think back on it, it was pretty stupid.
Yeah,
I appreciate your call, sir.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, we chased tornadoes. In fact, we chased some cells right up into Oklahoma from Amarillo. That Volkswagen. Man, we had some close calls, too. Lynn, or as he is known down in Lake Charles, Robin. I think they call him Robin down there. His real name is Lynn Whitlake. When we were in the Air Force at Amarillo, we used to chase him, and I don't know how we lived through that. Yeah, I really, I joke about this, but I would volunteer. I'd be the idiot who'd raise his hand and say, yes. I mean, it would be exciting in a way. But that would be with a lesser storm. When you get something this size, you sure as hell wouldn't want to be standing on a barrier island, for example, because it might not exist. Now, standing inland a little bit in an eye, maybe. But not with these kinds of winds. I don't think so. We'll have to see what they do. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm going to sound like I'm right off the wall with this.
Well, then you'll be right at home here, so go ahead.
Okay. No tornado is actually no hurricane is actually going to hit the continental United States in 99.
Well, that's an interesting prediction.
It won't do any more.
What are you basing this on?
Perception, put it that way. I gave you all kinds of predictions back in 95 in letters that I wrote to you, and you didn't believe any of them. And,
well, how do you know?
Well, some of them that I gave you 6-8 months, a year before anybody else even brought up the subject, you gave credit to other people, to your various prophets.
Oh, now, come on, you know that I get a million predictions.
I assume that you either forgot, that by that point you had forgotten entirely that I had given you predictions.
Look, let me help you out here a little bit, all right?
Yeah.
When I open my email, which is several times a day, Every time I open it, I have 600 to 700 emails.
Oh, I believe it, yeah.
When I go to get my mail, or actually when my wife does.
It probably weighs 500 to 1,000 pounds.
We bring in between 5 and 7 bins of mail. Do you know what a bin is?
Yeah.
Okay, so, that's the kind of input that I'm getting. So that's why I said, how do you know I didn't believe it? It's just that I get a ton of stuff, sir, and I really mean a ton, a literal ton.
Well, I kind of assume that if you had have believed it, then you would have made an attempt to contact me, since I gave you contact information.
Well, what special ability do you have that allows you to make these predictions?
I can't really say that I have any special ability. I've been accused of being the head servant of Satan. I've also been called a modern-day prophet of God. I kind of hope it's the latter, although to tell you the truth, I've also been accused of being a nut and just completely off my rocker. Time will tell just exactly which is actually true.
Which one do you lean toward?
A totally unworthy prophet of God.
In other words, you're an optimist.
Yeah, I guess you could put it that way.
I did. All right. Thank you very much for the call. I'm sorry, but yes, obviously, if I have a guest on the air who's made a specific prediction, then that is memorable as well as being memorialized. If you have just sent me a letter and said I am a prophet of God or something or another, and I make the following predictions, it may slip through the cracks. I'm sorry. That is the kind of volume of mail and communication I get from all of you out there, and I try to pay the best attention I can to it, but some of it does slip through my fingers. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Tally-ho. Hello?
Hello?
Hi, turn your radio off.
Turn the radio off.
That's good.
Who am I talking to?
Well, take a guess.
This is Art Bell?
Bingo.
Good, sure. I've given this call that I listened to your show for the last 3 years now. I'm calling from Halifax, Nova Scotia, by the way.
Way up in Nova Scotia.
Way up in Nova Scotia. The reason one of the reasons I can ask a question, I look at your website, but the one thing I couldn't find on there was a replay from the Swiss Air back from September 2nd. Can I get that somehow?
Yes, you may. Let's see. Any guest appearance that we have is chronicled and available on tape by calling 1-800-917 4278.
4278?
Yes, sir.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Does that help you?
That helps me a lot.
I take it it's calm and cool in Nova Scotia.
Actually, no, it's windy and rainy right now.
It shows you what the hell I know. Thank you for the call, sir.
Thank you.
Take care. Windy and rainy. Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hi.
KQMS, right in California.
Oh, here she is. Oh, my, you've made it in early and frequently of late. It's nice to be hearing your cheery little voice again.
It is. Well, I think cats meditate. Do you think cats meditate?
How the hell would I know?
Well, listen, they sit there and they're in that alpha state, you know.
Well, and now cats clearly see things that we don't see.
I know.
Now, stupid humans look at that and they say, what the hell's the matter with that cat? Look at it. Well, it's probably seeing something that we just can't see. That's what I think.
Well, I think they meditate.
I've thought they even see rods. You know what rods are.
Yeah, that rod thing. I always wondered about that.
Don't you think that's possible?
I think it's possible that they want to see things and they just get tired of not seeing anything. They just pounce on it.
And so they make them up?
Yeah, like my feet when I don't want them to pounce on them.
Yeah, I wonder why they do that.
To irritate you. Cats communicate with us on a certain level, you know.
No, a foot under a cover is not like a foot. It's not the same thing as a foot at all. It's a mystery object that appears to be moving under the covers.
I agree. And they don't know what it is. By the way, I have special powers. As you recall, I am a goddess.
I know. Oh, I'll ask you about that in a moment, but first let me read this to you in case you missed it earlier.
Okay.
When a cat, since you brought up cats, right? When a cat is dropped, it always lands on its feet. When toast is dropped, it always lands on the butter side down. So John Carter of Northridge, California sent me this. He said, I propose to strap buttered toast to the back of a cat with the butter facing up. The two obviously will hover in midair, spinning inches above the ground. With a giant buttered toast cat array, a high-speed monorail could easily link Los Angeles and Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's like instead of a Levitron, it's a Catatron, huh?
Somehow I picture these miles and miles of cats meowing with buttered bread strapped to them.
Yeah, the PETA people would really hate that.
Yeah. Every train a new cruelty.
Yeah, they'd be protesting everywhere. Meow, meow. You're silly.
I know.
You are definitely silly.
Well.
Are you going to ask me about being a goddess?
Yep.
Okay, ask.
Well, what kind of goddess are you?
I'm a fertility goddess.
I should have figured. A fertility goddess. And what does a...
You're so easy.
What does a fertility goddess... No, I shouldn't be asking this.
Go ahead, ask. Ask away.
Oh, what the hell? What does a fertility goddess do in the normal course of a goddess's daily duties?
Day? Well...
And night.
First, I open my email and answer all my prayers that have been sent to me.
Well.
Then, I cause crops to grow.
You cause crops to grow?
Yes.
Ooh.
And I also punish people who've been bad with drought.
Oh.
That's bad.
So you stand in judgment of people?
Yes, I do.
Whew.
That's heavy, huh?
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy responsibility.
I know. That's why I meditate a lot. I have a very stressful day. Then, of course, I take over the question of mammalian fertility.
Really?
Yeah, I get lots of prayers over that.
Can you make a young man who is not fertile?
Of course.
Really? And a young woman who is not fertile?
Of course. That's my job. I also...
Do you ever remove fertility from the unworthy?
There are people who should never, ever have children.
Well, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, well...
As a goddess...
That's right. And I get lots of prayers about children.
How do you do that, by the way, as a goddess? Do you just sort of close your eyes, squinch them together, and say, squeeze that tube shut?
No, what I'll do is I'll give her a case of acne. And then he doesn't like her.
That's just as a... You are so bad.
You're bad. You're worse than I am. Hey,
yeah, maybe.
But you are the best thing in radio.
All right, well, thanks for the call.
Love you.
See you later. You picture that tube closing, and there it is, closed. I don't have to do that. I just give her acne. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Where are you?
I'm in Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome. You're on the air.
I'm on the air?
You bet.
Okay. Hey, I was going to tell Art about the...
Oh, wait a minute. I am Art.
Oh, you are?
I am.
I'm ridiculous. The sterilization of the cockpit, we have a 3-8 system, which when we take off, we have 3 minutes sterilized cockpit, and on landing, on the approach, it's an 8-minute.
Are you a commercial...
That's correct. An 8-minute sterilized cockpit, so there's nobody gets in and out of that cockpit.
Okay, what kind of aircraft do you fly?
Well, it depends on the day situation, but...
I see. So, in other words, the sterilization only lasts so long?
Well, no.
At which point of the flight is it okay for the stew to come up and sit on a lap?
Well, never.
Never?
Absolutely not.
What kind of flying is that?
Hell, what kind would you think if you were a passenger? We gotta have control of it. What I'm saying is on takeoff, it's a 3-minute sterilization in the cockpit.
Yes.
8 minutes on the landing. and we try to do everything we can to make a safe journey for everyone. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
All right, sir. I appreciate your saying. Well, the first officer who called a while ago did burst some balloons for me. No stewardesses ever in the cockpit, ever. So I guess they have to go back and get their own coffee, huh? Wonder how the coffee gets. Maybe it comes in a little chute or something. And then this sterilized business. In other words, you're not allowed to talk about anything, the wife, the kids, nothing, just the duty at hand, which is flying. And I suppose from the flying public's point of view, these are all good things, but it does seem like it, takes a lot of the romance out of the way it used to be. But on the other hand, maybe we have fewer crashes, so I guess it's all right. We're watching the hurricane with you through the night tonight and probably tomorrow too. We will have Whitley here for a short time tomorrow night talking about the weather.
I can see her lying back in her satin dress in a room where you do what you don't confess. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. She's been looking like a queen in a sailor's dream, and she don't always say what she really means. Sometimes I think it's a shame when I get feeling better.
Reported that northwest of the eye wall, they had a buoy that just recorded 52-foot seas. I repeat, 52-foot seas. Try and let your mind imagine that. The largest evacuation of U.S. citizens in U.S. history, 2.6 million are fleeing this storm. The latest projections show it coming ashore at the South Carolina border, but that seems to change each time they get a new forecast. The last one seemed to show it jogging a little to the west. The last part of the little jog was toward the west, so who knows? The ridge is weakening a little bit that would have affected the storm. And everybody's got to be on the lookout. And I mean everybody. It's still southeast of the Cape by about 125 miles, and it's still moving northwest as far as we know. We should have new information soon. Obviously, we're going to be dealing with this tonight. Tomorrow night, we'll have Whitley Strieber here a little bit. Whitley and I have authored a new book called The Coming Superstorm, and the subject matter is entirely appropriate to what's going on, so we'll have him on and talk with him a little bit. But basically, we're going to be doing open lines so that we can kind of keep in touch with what's going on. Now listen, any of you out there that have appropriate photographs, personal photographs is what we really want, that have to do with this storm, we'd love to have you send them to my webmaster. He is Webmaster Keith Rowland, actually. Webmaster at artbell.com. So, we're looking for personally oriented type photographs. We also have a link to the webcams in the path of the hurricane. So, during the day, that'll be very useful. At night, not very useful unless they've got, night vision equipment. But during the day, tomorrow, or later today now actually, in my time zone, and yours I'm sure, you'll be able to go to my website and look at those webcams. It is an awesome site. They're in the blackout zone where they don't really have new satellite information yet. It's coming shortly on the hurricane. But they do have it on radar. And, ooh, you ought to see the eye as defined on radar. It is incredible.
George Kennedy for Can Do. Arthritis pain.
They're part of the family, right? Well, then take food for them because likely they will need it. And for yourself and, whatever you've got around that's camping stuff, be a real good idea to have with you. So, we're sort of tracking this monster, and a monster it is. The feeder bands now, bearing in mind where it is, east-southeast by 125 miles of the Cape, the feeder bands are slamming into North Carolina with heavy rain. Can you imagine the size of a hurricane that would do that? It's down still east-southeast of the Cape, and yet slamming feeder bands into North Carolina. That is one big mothering storm. First time caller line, you're on the air. Hi.
All right.
Yes.
This is taking you back a while, but I'm trying to see if you can recall a guest you had on your show several years ago named David Horowitz.
Sure. Dr. Horowitz.
Dr. Horowitz. He wrote a book, something about virus or...
was Horowitz Emerging Viruses? And I'm not sure, but yeah, you're right. I recall, not exactly.
It was several years ago, and I'm trying to locate either if I could get a copy of the tape or if you can recall the book that he wrote, because I've searched libraries.
Okay, well, you can absolutely, well, there's two ways to handle it. One is you can call the number, the 800 number, and get a tape. Ask for the last Dr. Horowitz guest.
Oh, we're talking about David Horowitz, right?
Right.
And do you remember the conversation about pharmaceutical companies injecting or infecting or whatever you say?
I think he was talking about vaccinations, wasn't he?
He was talking about, the program was about how way back in the 50s that we were inoculated with viruses that the pharmaceutical companies gave us.
All right, I've got it for you here.
Oh,
all
wonderful.
right, are you ready? It's called, I was right. It's called, listen to me now. It's called Emerging Viruses, AIDS and Ebola.
Exactly.
Nature, Accident, or Intentional by Dr. Leonard G. Horowitz.
Leonard, not David. No wonder I couldn't find it.
Yes, Leonard.
Now, please bear with me. I'm writing, emergency.
No. Emerging.
Okay. Emerging.
Viruses. AIDS and Ebola.
Okay.
Actually, if you just have emerging viruses, that'll be enough.
AIDS and Ebola.
And it's Leonard G. Horowitz.
No wonder I couldn't find him under David.
Okay? You got it?
Leonard Horowitz.
Yep.
Could you spell Horowitz?
Horowitz. Okay?
And a library would have that. And can I get your tape of that program?
Well, you call 1-800-917-4278.
917-4278.
Yes, ma'am, that's it. Thank you very much, and good luck. But with the correct title and name, you've got it. I've had a lot of Davids on, so I forgot myself. It's Leonard G. Horowitz, actually. Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hi.
Otter.
Yes.
This is Squirrel. I'm in my big truck here heading westbound on the PA Pike. I got a question to ask you.
All right.
Well, they're right. You don't sound the same on the phone.
Yeah, I know. That's what everybody says. But if you think I don't sound the same, you ought to hear how you sound right now.
I'll bet. Anyway, your streaming video on your computer.
Yes.
I noticed that most of your guests have got computers or websites or that sort of thing. Would it be possible for you to have a setup where you, on the internet, where you can have a split screen where you would be on one side and your guests would be on the other side, so that us people at home, when we're watching it on the internet, we can watch both of you at the same time?
That would be so cool, wouldn't it? Let me explain to you on the air what that would take, though, and why we can't do it right now. In order to have the streaming video that, for example, I have right now that you can see and hear, it requires a very special line to be installed by the phone company. It's a frame rate, it's called a frame rate line. And in this case, it goes straight from here to Dallas, where broadcast.com is, and delivers a very fast stream to broadcast.com. And then, of course, I've got cameras and I've got lighting and all of that to contend with. So trying to set that up for each and every guest that we would have on the program would be logistically, absolutely, completely, utterly impossible. Now, if a guest had a camera already set up, trying to think about this, I don't think that we could get streaming video, but we might be able to get the webcam that I've got, so you would see a photograph of the guest if they already had a computer and the right program and a camera. But even that is kind of difficult logistically, so I don't know. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hi.
Hi.
Calling for Art?
That would be me. Turn your radio off.
Okay.
We'll wait while you do that.
My name is Angela, and I'm calling from Cape Coral, Florida.
Cape Coral, Florida, huh?
Yes. I was calling to say that this is a huge storm, and we are over in the west, in the Gulf of Mexico, and we are getting some rain bands and some wind. It's not a lot, but it is affecting us over here in the Gulf. And I was worried about Cape Canaveral and the space shuttles. I was wondering...
They've got a skeleton crew only. Everybody else who works at the Cape took off. So they've got, I don't know, maybe 100, 125 people there.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else took off. And all the Disney stuff in Florida is closed. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. I know that all of our hotels and things are booked up, and, you know, people...
In other words, people coming from the east out toward you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're not finding any place to go, so I don't know. And I've heard a comparison that if you imagine Floyd as being a dime, or rather a half a dollar, and a dime as being Andrew, that sort of would give you a comparison of the storm size.
God, it's a monster.
So
it's a monster. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Thank you. Looking at the map of the southeastern U.S., this hurricane is so large that it's literally like a piece of a puzzle headed up to fill that entire gap. The sort of U-shaped area or crescent-shaped area would be more like it, that forms from Florida up through North Carolina. It will just fill that entire area when it gets there. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hi.
Hello, this is Fritz calling.
Well, hi, Fritz. I understand you guys have had some pretty wild weather down in Arizona.
But it's beautiful lightning. It's just a fantastic show of creation. I mean, what creation can do. But anyhow, coming to the weather, did I hear